right up, take a seat. Bad advice, baby. Chad and Sean, come and see. We talk that niche, the weird, the deep, the forum lore, the jokes they keep. Juggalos laughing, loud cows too, furries in the feed and what they do. If you got a question, bring it in. We make it messy, we let it spin. Bad advice, Chad and Sean tonight. Bad advice, turn the strings to light. Bad advice, roll up, stay a while. Bad advice, laugh till you lose your mind. One hot take, 3 worst takes, a little truth, a lot of snakes, cooks in the comments, fur and fur. Everybody's talking, we prefer. If it's offbeat, we're on it quick. 2 weird hosts and a sharper trick. Bad advice, Chad and Sean tonight. Bad advice, turn the stage to light. Bad advice, roll up, stay a while. Bad advice, laugh till you lose your mind. Come for the chaos, stay for the names. Every rabbit hole turns into games. One more question, let it go. Bad advice, and away we go. Bad advice, Chad and Sean tonight. Bad advice, turn the strings to light. Bad advice, roll up, stay a while. Bad advice, laugh till you lose your mind.
Let's fucking go! Bad advice on now! Chad and Sean in the pit! Spin that weird internet shit! They climb in the feed like a chain on the floor. Juggalos in the back wanting one more roar. Low cow laughs keep feeding the flame. Cocks and furries all get names. Turn it up, let it break. Every dumb take, every mistake. Bad advice, say it loud. Bad advice, spin it proud. Chad and Sean, run the show. Bad advice, here we go. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Screenshots flying, hot tea stains. Discord chaos in the brains. Niche culture kings with the live wire bite. Dragging the freaks into the night. Turn it up, let it break. Every dumb take, every mistake. Bad advice, say it loud. Bad advice, spin it proud. Chad and Sean, run the show. Bad advice, here we go. Let's fucking go. If it gets weird, we go harder. If it gets loud, we go farther. One more clip, one more spin. Hit record, let the mess begin. Bad advice, say it loud. Bad advice, spin it proud. Chad and Sean, run the show. Bad advice, here we go. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go!
Let's fucking go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Bad Advice Podcast on this wonderful Friday night. I am your host, the emotional support Chad, and with me is my co-host, Sean Games Drunk. Welcome, everybody.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
How we all doing tonight, folks? I'm alive. I could be
on
much
the
worse.
inside, on the outside, what are we talking here?
Outside. We'll talk about the insides of things as we go on with tonight. I'm an Irish peasant, by the way. Hey, but you're not a woman. Well, I'm glad that you asked, Lou, because I'm about to pull it up. Tonight's subject is the illustrious Christopher Weston Chandler, known better to the internet as Chris Chan.
Ooh-wee. Here we go.
The evil spirit that inhabits the Sonichu medallions, which so often ruin everyone's lives who encounter them.
Not just encounters them, but dons them.
You must don them. This is true. We're not going inside. Don't worry. The story will progress on its own. So,
I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this, bro. This is going to be a whole fucked up rabbit hole.
It is. And
like, part of it's going to be that haha, that's fucked up kind of shit, and the other part's going to be dark and depraved and super depressing. I don't know how I feel.
par for the course on this show. That's basically how they all go. Except the Juggalo one, which was nice and wholesome. So as this
That's
is
what I'm saying, bro.
As this is an educational show, we start off with the greatest source of information on the internet, the Urban Dictionary. So the definition of Chris Chan, the first one, it just says, don't look it up. For real. I'm not even making a joke about this. It's fucked up.
So, links every time. Links every time.
And then the second definition is just the worst person ever.
I don't know about that, man. There's some pretty bad people out there.
And
Fucked up, yes.
As
Fucked
we will
up,
learn.
yes. But worst, maybe not. Maybe not. Definitely up there, though. Definitely up there.
A cursed object can't attune to your soul if you don't give it consent. Just say no. Just say no to cursed objects. Say no.
That's not how it works.
I really wish it was.
You can't peel the fingers back on this monkey's paw, brother.
So, as always, or usual, I like using my favorite source of internet drama and weird shit, Turkish Thomas. This video came out 3 years ago. I wasn't sure how late I could be up tonight because I got to go somewhere tomorrow, but I don't have to go until 3 in the afternoon. So the video is 3 hours and 8 minutes. We're going to watch it at 1.25 speed, and I may skip around depending on what we need to get to if we go too late. Once again, anybody who watches the show, we use Turkey Tom for a source a lot of the time. Go subscribe to him. He makes really good internet documentaries. And, anything else before we get into it?
No, I say let's do it. I'm here for it. I'm ready.
Let me know how the audio is. I have it turned down a little bit, so if it's quiet for me, it's probably quiet for everyone.
Most documented person on the...
Yeah, I'll turn it up a little bit. Start from the very beginning. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, last week with the bronies, that got dark. I stopped having fun.
Yeah, he also lines up with this shit, though. That's the crazy part.
They do overlap a bit.
Or I guess they is the correct term now.
It's at this point.
Of course, saying Chris Chan, we're dead naming them too.
No. Now it's Christine Chan.
Exactly.
So it's not that naming. It's still Christian. Let's get started.
Chris Chan is often called the most documented person on the internet. From an extensive wiki to thousands of YouTube videos, millions of onlookers who have jumped on to observe the story, it's hard to name someone more synonymous with modern internet culture. And even with Chris being a subject of forum talk for more than a decade at this point, it seems like people are hardly
already
losing
into
interest.
Sonichu.
So today, we'll try to cover the entire story of everyone's favorite, or least favorite, internet celebrity.
The medallion!
Chris Chan's story
The
starts
cursed
and ends with
medallion.
women, and with one in particular, his mother. Her allegedly abusive parenting being why he became the most documented individual in the world.
Are
And it
you
was on account
seeing
of his
that
unspeakable
face?
Yes.
Like, bro, that is some serial killer shit,
allegedly
bro.
abusive parenting being
He's got what lifeless eyes, like a doll's eyes.
Like a doll's eyes. Fun fact before we get too into it, are you familiar with the show Smiling Friends?
Well, I'm familiar with it. I've never actually watched it though.
The creators tried to get Chris Chan to voice act a character at one point, and then the producers were like, "We are not doing that."
Smart decision.
why he became the most documented individual in the world. And it was on account of his unspeakable acts toward her that he was suddenly pulled out of the public eye and into a jail cell. Seeing as he was just released from that jail cell, everyone's worried about what's next for Chris. It's natural to think history will repeat itself, but many still don't know the full extent of that history. A history which spans
Looks
over
like
40
fucking
years,
Mitch
with his
McConnell.
groundwork being
Having mini strokes on TV every day.
Like, bro, just the chin, the mouth, the eyes. It's literally the female version of fucking Mitch McConnell, brother.
Bitch McConnell.
laid even prior to that. It all started in the year of our Lord, 1980, when a 53-year-old Bob Chandler and a 39-year-old Barbara Weston got married. Barb was involved with a few other men before Rob, such as a man named Ron Coleman Yeats Sr., who she had a child with by the name of Cole. Barb, however, disputes this and claims to have never been involved with Rand, but with a man named Jack Smithy, with whom she supposedly had a fancy wedding. Cole grew dubious of his mother's claims about who his father was and decided to hire private investigators to settle the matter. In emails he eventually exchanged about the pursuit of the identity of his father, Cole said, "It seems likely, since Rand's middle name is Coleman, that this man is my biological father." However, Barbara never spoke of this marriage. I would never have known about it had I not made a special trip to Richmond to get copies of all of her marriage certificates. Can you imagine having an essential part of your personal family history shrouded in mystery for 44 years because the one person who could clear the air insists on lying to you? Barbara hung up the phone in my face when I asked her about these revelations. Needless to say, I really don't give a fuck about Barbara or about her fucking lies. In 1966, when Cole was 3 years old, Barbara began a relationship with a man named Jerry Harmon Jr., who would become Cole's stepfather. Another finding of Cole's investigations was that Barb never actually married Jerry despite her claims of having done so. A trend of dishonesty was forming. In an email about the domestic situation during this time, Cole said, "Barbara is mistaken about the bunch of good years we supposedly had together. I grew up in an abusive household with Barbara and my former stepfather Jerry, where physical and mental punishments ran the gamut, from bare beatings to cold showers to bizarre scenarios acted out with glee by two deeply neurotic adults. The treatment I received in Richmond, Virginia was another matter altogether. To raise a child in such conditions is inexcusable.
I didn't realize.
Even at a very young age, I knew they would abandon me. They were both irresponsible and incompetent parents who exposed me to traumas that I would rather not remember. As for Barbara professing her love for me, I have not seen any evidence of it in close to 20 years.
Welcome, Vic.
And that's a very long time. Barbara's definition of love is a hackneyed sentimental term she uses to extract a response. At some point in the early 1970s, Barbara nearly killed Cole when attempting to scare off a would-be robber. A burglar tried to break in when my dad was out cheating on my mom. We had a steel front door. Some dirtbag was making no bones about trying to break down our front door. Richmond was the capital of America at the time. My mother Barbara left the living room for the adjacent bedroom, where said pistol sat waiting. She returned with a fully loaded gun. I stood beside her about 10 feet from the door, where the would-be thief was still loudly at work trying to break down the front door. My mother pulled back the hammer, attempting to cock it, but she didn't pull it back far enough for it to lock. Blam! The gun fired. The bullet hit the floor, ricocheted onto the steel door, then onto the ceiling, before lodging in the plaster wall less than a foot to the left of my head. The would-be thief was scared off, so mission accomplished there. But I could have easily died. In 1978, Barbara and...
If you're gonna have guns in the house with other people, make sure they either know how to use them or can't access them, folks. Do not let a person that doesn't know how to use a gun use a gun.
Man, to a point though, I disagree. Like, that's actually a life-threatening situation where even if you don't know how to use a gun, you handling one is justified.
I'm not going to go against her from taking the action she took. I'm just saying that the man of the house should have taught her how to use it properly before she would have access to it.
What if the man of the house doesn't know how to use it either, huh?
That's a whole other
Jerry
problem.
separated, and not long after, Cole moved to California,
work with what
presumably
you
to get
got.
as far away as possible from his dysfunctional mother. Despite being directly connected to the endless odyssey of Christery, as it's often called, Cole is a relatively normal person. After they both separated from their respective spouses and married one another, Bob and Barb didn't see their advanced ages as a reason to avoid conceiving a child. Whether this was due to their lack of knowledge of the risks, carelessness, or a mixture of both is anyone's guess. By 1981, Barb was pregnant, and on February 24th, 1982, a child was born that would change the world forever. Christopher Weston Chandler. Unfortunately,
there he is, folks. This person used to be a baby.
A child was born that would change the world forever. Christopher Weston Chandler.
Oh shit.
Sometimes I feel like these demons just spawn from the wombs of gigantic bee mothers. But no, this is a real human being that exists.
Unfortunately, whatever bad parenting techniques were present when Barbara was raising Cole were at least as bad, if not worse, when it came to raising Chris. By 1983, probably due to her lack of interest in raising Chris herself, Barbara hired a babysitter that would end up abusing 1.5-year-old Chris by locking him in a closet. Later on, he would claim that this led to him having autism, although that claim is
I don't think that's how that works.
The situation caused him to become nonverbal,
No.
only occasionally screeching and crying, which made him very difficult to deal with for his parents. By 1985, Chris met the first person besides his parents whom he recalls as a friend, Sarah Nicole Hammer.
Santa
According to what he
Claus.
himself says in his Wikipedia
That's what I thought he was gonna say, too.
which, yes, exists. Sarah brought him out of his autistic shell and helped him become more social, though she did, every once in a while, take advantage of Chris's less than advantaged intellect by doing things like locking him in a house's crawl space or trying to get him to put a honeysuckle in his mouth. But apart from that, Sarah was actually nice to him. They played hide and seek.
Apart from poison and torture, she was very nice to him.
Oh yeah, man. That's base. That's base. I'd totally date that chick.
You can fix her. I bet you could.
Nah, no fixing necessary.
She's perfect the way
rode
she
swing
is.
sets, and even roller skated.
Yes,
This was
sir.
one of the very few times Chris got to be a regular child. A couple of years later, Chris began kindergarten, and Bob retired from his job. In fear that he was going to die from his heart problems, Bob decided to write Chris a letter for him to read in the future. In the case that he passed away, in one excerpt it read, "I hope I've been able to provide for you and your mother until you at least get to college, and for your mother until she joins me at the great sing-along in the sky, or wherever. Anyway, I expect you to take care of her, love her,
What a nice
and never
letter.
disappoint her for as long as she lives. I also expect you to never disappoint me, because I will always be with you to help you when the going gets tough, and you need me. Since everything always seems to happen for the best for me and when I need it, I've always felt like my mother was my guardian angel. You look exactly like my mother and I. I didn't plan my life. I just took it as it came along. I seem to have had no control over it. It always came along with what was right for me. Look at me 8 years ago in 1979. When I was really down and out and ready to cash in my chips with heart problems I didn't even know about, your mother, Barbara Ann, helped me through the rough spots, and together we had you. Now I really had something to live for. No better
job,
things or
man.
events could have happened to me. Your mother and I have done our best for you, and in return, we expect at least that from you, for yourself, and your children." Despite Chris still being mute at the time, it's evident that Bob had high hopes for him, which included college and children. On top of all of that, he emphasized as much as he could, Chris ought to love and take care
Poor
of Barb.
naive old
Advice
man.
which we'll eventually know Chris took to heart in quite a peculiar way. Regardless of Bob's shortcomings as a father, it seems that he did genuinely care for Chris and wanted the best for him, at least based on this letter. As his childhood progressed and he attended speech therapy
Bro,
classes,
looks like
Chris eventually
decrepit
started
Tobin
speaking again at
Bell.
age 7. This was a relief for his parents who could now actually communicate with
Tobin
him.
Bell,
instead
that
of
is a
having to
name
guess
I
what
have
was
not
on his
heard in a
mind.
long
According to Chris
time.
himself, he quickly made up for his time in silence by talking aloud with his classmates. Through the entirety of his
I've never murdered anybody.
Police brutality.
Killing is distasteful. To me.
childhood, Chris's parents showered him with gifts, the brunt of which were video games. For Christmas that year, he was given a Nintendo Game Boy, which eventually allowed him to play Pokemon. As we'll learn later,
no.
this culminated in a major
Oh,
timeline
no.
shift in Christory. For the rest of primary school, Chris's life wasn't any more eventful than your
Oh,
average
no.
kid. He had a crush on a girl for a little while and played lots of video games. However, when he entered 4th grade, something very odd happened. 5 faculty members, ranging from teachers to the principal, as he retells it, abused him by pinning him to the ground, holding his wrists and ankles, and audio taping his cries and shouts. Regardless of how far-fetched or possibly false the story may sound, it must have had some degree of truth to it, since Bob and Barb went as far as suing the school, proceeding to homeschool Chris for the time being. We don't have detailed knowledge
Did
about
they win the
legal proceedings of
lawsuit?
this lawsuit, but we do know that it eventually got dismissed. Whatever your opinions about homeschooling may be
Well, there
when it
you go.
concerns children, in Chris's case, being around other kids was beneficial for him and he needed the social interaction to improve. While taking him out of school might have been necessary due to the treatment he was getting from the staff, being isolated entirely was certain to do him harm. In December of '92, Bob and Barb took Chris to a mall, where they would stumble across the Leonard Bernstein Symphony Orchestra, a band of animatronic bears. During their interaction with the leader of the band, Leonard Bernstein himself, the performer that operated the animatronics behind the scenes, accidentally called Chris Christian instead of Christopher, his birth name. For whatever reason, this deeply struck a chord with Chris, who insisted that his name be legally changed to Christian, a wish that would eventually be granted by his parents and even got coverage in a local newspaper.
Animatronic Bear Man calls you the wrong name. Oh, I guess that's my name now.
Your name's Toby.
Kunta Kinte.
Later on, it seems Chris believed God himself was acting
With an
for
eye.
that bear.
I am Christian Weston Chandler. So get it through your damn fucking skull and call me.
It looks
a
like
real
Ricky
man
Borowick
and
with
God
muscles.
has been given to me. And the Bear
Oh.
Regency Square Shopping Center.
Like literally just has muscles on his body.
In 1993, the passion
Yeah,
of Sonic
exactly,
the Hedgehog that Chris already
exactly.
had for years at that point.
Fucking
would grow
Ricky
to new
Berwick.
degrees,
Oh
with
my
eventually
God,
Sonic
I
the
love
Hedgehog
that
Watch
man.
and Win sweepstakes contest, where he won the
He's a
grand
man worth
prize,
loving.
a $1,000 shopping spree at a local toy store. This win
Oh,
was reported
no.
on television, making yet another instance of Chris attracting the attention of the media, even as a young boy. By 1996, Barb would retire as well, meaning both her and Bob were spending the entirety of their time raising Chris, though whether their increased presence was good or bad for him, only time would tell. This was also the year Chris began high school, and in his opinion, these were his happiest years. years. It was during this period that he became the water boy for the basketball team, and just a year later, he was a manager for it. However, I assume that if Chris was able to exercise that position, it must not have been that serious of a position in the first place. During one of his high school basketball games, Chris randomly received a vision of the things to come. As he tells it, one day during b-ball practice, I was randomly thinking, with a picture of Mighty the Armadillo of Knuckles' Chaotix 32X leaning against one of a bunch of tall lockers in my head, when suddenly the door behind him opened up, and out popped this orange hedgehog with a basketball. So I drew and colored him on paper immediately. Bionic the Hedgehog, Sonic's long-lost brother, was born. As you can imagine, it's just a dismal recoloring of Sonic, but orange. Oh, and by the way, in case you didn't figure it out, his name is Bionic because B is for basketball, along with having...
No way! No way!
Basketball. I want to cringe, but honestly, when I was a young teenager, well, like 12, I also enjoyed Sonic OCs on the internet.
If you recall, we played this game a while back where
we did. I do remember that.
Your name, the Hedgehog.
that was during the furry one, wasn't it? To be appropriate.
Something like that. Something like that.
Crushes on a couple of cheerleaders and involving himself in an altercation that got him demoted to the short bus. His time in high school was marked by a pathetic dream about Sonic being on Game Boy. After getting an F in English, a 16-year-old Chris recorded his very first video dubbed Song of Christian, where he read a poem he wrote and proceeded to meander about other topics.
I hear America singing as I sing it myself.
Oh, no.
And you experience as I experience. The problems of yourself are my problems. These are the young singing cries of happiness. The children's song is song of laughter. And also,
sounds like a 30s radio announcer.
Some Lego sets and build them together.
No.
Like for example, this old bicycle pit shop here. You can tell this is an old-fashioned Lego set on the counter. This is the old-fashioned Lego land on the corner.
If you're already familiar
was that
with
what the camera looked like in the video? Because I can't.
Different in this clip, almost like he's a different person. His voice is deeper and his speech is clearer than what he later became known for. To some extent, it's almost as if he was just your regular 90s nerd as opposed to the Lovecraftian entity he eventually came to embody. This is due to the fact that during this time, Chris was regularly interacting with people that weren't his beyond geriatric parents, which resulted in him being a lot more socially capable and normal. But normalcy was on borrowed time in the Chandler household. For starters, Chris discovered how to, as he puts it, mass debate in the ripe old age of 16 years old. After figuring out how to break the parental lock on his TV, he figured it out for himself, whatever that means. In 1998, the Pokemon anime began being broadcasted, and Chris was immediately hooked, becoming a fan of the series. Shortly thereafter, the Pokemon Red and Blue game would hit the shelves in America, and in a way, Christian's fate was sealed at that very moment. During 1999, Chris's obsession with Pokemon would grow more evident, and in April, he created his first website called CWC's PokeSite, which was meant to be a Pokemon content and news aggregator, which, of course, Chris lacks the competence to maintain. It seems the site's code is based mostly on a pre-built template, and most likely was made under adult supervision, considering one of the entries on the site's guest book seemed to be from one of Chris's teachers. Throughout most of the year, Chris created playing cards for his Pokemon OCs. His ideas weren't always the most creative, such as Drummore and Symbolic, two Pokemon that were basically just sentient drums. One of these Pokemon, Españolic, a comically stereotypical Hispanic Pokemon, served as the mascot of the Spanish version of the second edition of CWC's PokeSite. The absolutely broken miscarriage of a website that came as a result of Chris trying to make his website from scratch instead of using a template. In late August, he made Yoshi into a Pokemon, which set a precedent for him taking copyrighted characters from other franchises and making them into Pokemon. In the year 2000, Chris turned 18 and held a birthday party he eventually wrote about, saying, "We hung balloons and streamers, and we laid refreshments out on the table. At the door was 4 of my high school amigas, and one of them brought a friend. We ate pepperoni pizza and drank Pepsi. It was great. As Mother lit the candles, I was filling up with ecstasy. After I blew the candles, I was
Mother.
I don't like the way that's
Mother.
I don't like
exactly.
The way
like, he didn't say as my mom lit the candles. He said as Mother.
Yes, hey, mother. Welcome, Big Mike. Mother. Well, the rest of it's even worse. As Mother lit the candles, I was filling up with ecstasy.
No.
With a big jawbreaker from Kelly, an R.L. Stine novel from Sarah, a planner with stickers from Miranda, and a rabbit doll with jelly beans from Tiffany. We watched Good Burger and had fun. After they left, it was done. What did I wish for? I'm not telling. Though they obviously went to his party in the spirit of charitability, the fact that he was likable enough to inspire these girls to humor him is a sign that,
this is nice.
Problems, Chris
this is actually kind of wholesome.
Even in his own way. In the same year, Chris began taking Paxil, a medication to help with his autism, and overall, it seemed like things were headed in the direction of stability. But who could ever predict what was coming next? Chris's interest in Pokemon endured, and he continued to create new Pokemon playing cards while having people from his school sign his site's guest book, complimenting his art. With all of these social rewards he was getting,
I can't lie, he's a better artist than I am.
Chris's ambition and belief in the potential of his creations only grew. During a computer graphics class, Chris was assigned to create a CD album cover.
I can't even draw that
well. Not include any copyrighted character.
Not at all.
Because of his
and it's not even that good.
Material, he struggled
it's not. No, it's not at all.
Until he came up with a brilliant idea. If he were to make a hybrid of 2 copyrighted characters, the resulting admixture wouldn't be copyrighted, and thus it had to be acceptable. The CD, dubbed Christian's favorite hits, would feature a picture of Chris himself alongside a few OCs of his, but with one unforeseen addition: the one and only Sonichu, a mixture of Sonic the Hedgehog and Pikachu.
And so
He
it
commented on this moment,
begins.
saying, "It dawned on me at that moment after lunch, much like the random creation of Bionic the Hedgehog during basketball practice in my freshman year, Sonichu just bursted right into my imagination. A blur at first, but then it became more clear and came together very well. So as swiftly as the creation of Bionic, I drew Sonichu on paper from imagination. Then I drew him on my currently open Photoshop program. After checking with my teacher and my father, who is big on copyrights and whatnot, Sonichu was legal then, and still is, and only mine. So, soon after, the CD cover was made, printed, and passed with an A+ grade. And
He's saying this like he's supposed to be making money off of it.
Soon after Sonichu's conceptualization, Chris would immediately start making
It's not a
homemade
bad
Sonichu merchandise
approach.
as if he was a real character.
I mean,
One
he
of the
did
girls'
sell
friends was
the handmade Sonichu medallions, and
real talk, man, like fucking you're not gonna succeed if you come in with a shitty attitude. So I mean, props to him there.
that's completely fair.
What
Yo,
up, Wade?
Wade, welcome.
birthday party, Kelly received a Sonichu sweater Chris had made. Though it's a virtual certainty she had no idea what kind of psychotic horcrux she was dealing
See,
with.
in that picture,
Another assignment he had to do, wherein he would have to
he
document
looked almost
a week of his
normal in
high
that
school life,
picture.
which he would dub A Week with Christian
No.
Chandler. The cover art is a picture of him wearing an Ash Ketchum hat with his dog, Patty. Above it is the title scribbled in Chris's incomprehensible handwriting, while underneath is the most menacing drawing of Sonic the Hedgehog
No,
ever made.
scroll
This
back,
pattern
scroll
of
back.
randomly
I
drawing
can read that shit. Scroll back. It said a weeb with let's see.
Christian Chandler. I think it's a week, not a weeb. A week with Christian
Well, yeah.
Chandler.
Sorry,
Yeah.
weeb week. Okay, yeah, a week with Christian Chandler.
Doesn't he live in Finland now? I'm not sure, Zach. We might find out before we get off tonight.
Comprehensible handwriting, while underneath is the most menacing drawing of Sonic the Hedgehog ever made. This pattern of randomly drawing Sonic's head continued through the project, as in the first
The
page of this
nose.
assignment.
That's an
the nose
anteater.
image of
Bro.
Sonic
That's
looking
an
like he's been run
aardvark,
over by a
bro.
Japanese bullet train. As for the actual content of Chris's paper, it details a pretty uneventful week, with Chris helping his parents move, sleeping during class, playing Pokemon, and reading R.L. Stein books. While most aspects of his life kept their monotonous rhythm,
Don't sully
Sonichu
the
festered
name
in
of
the deepest crevices
Goosebumps.
of Christian's mind, taking on
He
a
loved
myriad of different
Goosebumps.
forms such as Dark Sonichu, Surfing Sonichu, and Snowboarding Sonichu. A man for all seasons. By June, Chris graduated from high school, though it was not a good experience for him. In his Wikipedia autobiography, he said, "Graduation for me was a sad one then. I only got recognized for my grades with a star pin, yet they
Oh,
had
that
more
was
fancier
Shattuck,
awards for more
yeah.
important qualities. I should have been highly recognized for my artistic talents I showed in many art classes for the award ceremonies before graduation day.
What?
I felt crestfallen greatly from not getting recognized for any of my talents. I excelled in math
You
too, for the love of
suck!
God. I had gotten over the award ceremony on the graduation day, but to add lemon juice to an open wound, it was dark and rainy that day, and they handed out more talented awards right before handing out any diplomas. When I went up there to get mine, I was feeling depressed, upset, crestfallen, and ticked off. When the award was handed to me, I took it without looking anyone in the eye, and I did not shake anyone's hand. I just walked back to my seat in the graduating crowd. Then, soon after, I just walked the
Pause.
wrong way.
What a dick.
Nah, bro, like literally that was the epitome of bro got the participation award and he's mad they didn't butter his balls enough. Holy fuck.
He wanted the Talented Award for his art, Sean. His wonderful, not good at all art.
Yeah, the participation award, brother.
Because he got autism when his babysitter locked him in a closet when he was 1.5.
Fuck off.
Up the center
Oh my
aisle, found an
God.
isolated table, and cried myself out. My mother found me later and comforted
Pussy.
me. My father was so ashamed of the way I acted, and he would later still be angry at recalling the moment. Tiffany also found me and gave me a caring amount of condolences while
Yes!
there. I gave her a
Based!
plush Psyduck
Based,
as a
Dad, is
graduating gift
based.
beforehand. But I left out two other reasons why I felt crestfallen at graduation. I never got the
Using
chance
that
to
word a
ask
lot.
Kelly out on a date, and more
Yeah,
importantly,
that's
that I was
literally
leaving
what I
all my
was
close
thinking.
gal friends behind. Soon after finishing high school, Chris would enroll in a community college, though at this point his priority was clearly Sonichu. In CWC's Poke site, he announced that a dedicated Sonichu page was in the works, and a logo for it was released. His indelible originality follows
not
Sonichu
wrong,
and
Zach.
Roschu with Chikachu and Meichu, the female versions of Pikachu and Raichu respectively, though what function these pieces of OC serve is completely unknown. In October, the Sonichu site goes live and it looks about how you'd expect. Zero improvement whatsoever in website creation since CWC's Poke site 2. As a matter of
No,
fact,
he's a
the
genius.
Sonichu
He doesn't
website
need
is mostly
improvement.
a carbon copy of the Poke site, mostly containing recycled material from it. At around the same
a
time,
god
Chris decides to
tier
further his commitment to
specimen.
the Sonichu IP and makes a Crayola medallion of Sonichu's head with his mouth covered with red sauce, like he just feasted on an order of glizzies. At the tail end of that year, he creates Sonichu's female counterpart, Roschu, which is basically just Amy Rose from Sonic the Hedgehog with little if any changes to her appearance.
It doesn't
All
look
this marks
different
the
at all.
beginning of Chris's rapidly deteriorating mental
There's
health.
the blue
as his
stripe
obsession
in the
kept growing
middle,
into
bro.
unhealthy and straight up
Oh,
odd
that's right.
directions, and he started putting on significant amounts of weight. Though the first half of 2001 was mostly uneventful, Chris began working at Wendy's in August, his job description being cleaning trays, tables, and carpet/tile flooring, keeping the place neat, and serving the customers with kind, understanding help. Just a couple of months after he was hired, however, he was let go. Chris claims this was due to emotional differences and that the manager had a spike on his shoulder against him. Over time, more concrete
Fuck
reasons
you.
for his dismissal began surfacing, such
I have a feeling his version of kind the help, kind and understanding help is very different from what most people would perceive it as.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. Welcome to the real world where you have to work, and if you suck, they call you out. Deal with it.
Oh, that doesn't work on him. I'm sorry. It's impossible.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot. God tier. God tier.
Such as drawing a coworker of his as an ugly Pokemon, or making a child cry by doing a terrifying impression of Donald Duck. Regardless, he made a total of $500 off the job before being fired. 2002 was a pretty uneventful year for Chris Chan standards.
Damn, the minimum wage, that's probably a couple weeks.
And developing a nigh unexplainable seething hatred for Harry Potter, apparently because it became more popular than Pokemon around that time. In a card he made of himself called Dark Christian, where his Pokemon type is autistic, his ability is knocking out whoever says that they love Harry Potter more than they love Pokemon. The bottom of the card reads, Christian says, kill Harry Potter, revive Pokemon. Early on in the year, his 21st birthday is ruined by his teacher, as he details. My 21st should have been as nice as my 18th or Sweet 16, right?
Whoa. Pause. He said his 21st birthday was ruined by his teacher.
I'm guessing it's a professor. He was in community college. But yeah,
no.
That makes it almost worse. Also, that's my birthday. I would have been... I'm bad at math. 7 years old. There we go.
English class at PBCC with this old male teacher. I don't even remember the son of his name. Anyway, on February 24th, 2003, the day of my 21st birthday, he had the nerve to kick me out of his class just because of my doggone autism. If I could
sure that's what it was.
But then I might have gotten kicked out of PBCC, and violence is rarely the answer anyway. Still though, he wrecked my 21 angry face. The actual reason for him being kicked out of class is mostly unknown.
Bro, where's your pony? Where's your fucking pony?
You've been an adult for 3 years already, buddy. Get with the fucking program.
Get a set of testicles, brother.
Ugh.
Him from the class.
I don't want to think about his testicles.
A more believable iteration of the story happens in one of Chris's retellings of it, where he mentions that the topic of homosexuality came up in a group discussion during class, and Chris, being the fancy gentleman we know him to be, says something offensive. Though we don't know what exactly it was, Chris expounded on it, saying, essentially, when it came to critiquing the papers of the other students, when they started talking about drug use and homosexual content, I wrote with exclamations you'd likely hear from a black person in church. He also emphasizes that the teacher, being a man, had something to do with it, and how whatever problems he was having in English class went away once he retook the class with a female teacher. Chris also says without explanation that after that day, he realized he needed a female sweetheart. This was the beginning of what would be known as Chris's love quest. Initially, not much changed in Chris's general behavior. He continued to give CDs and gifts to his gal pals, and of course, they all included Sonichu in some form because he genuinely thought it was charming. Being romantically inspired, he wrote the first Sonichu story called Sonichu and Rosachu, the genesis of the Love Hogs. Though this story was not illustrated, as the latter entries into the Chris Chan cinematic universe would be, it provided revelatory insight into the inner workings of Sonichu's canon. According to this sacred text, Sonichu came to be when Chris accidentally collided with a Pikachu that stood nearby as he fought a monster. Due to being charged with energy from the Chaos Emeralds, the Pikachu was permanently transformed into Sonichu. Rosechu, on the other hand, was a Raichu that happened to get hit with a rainbow that emitted from the creation of Sonichu. Eventually, for no reason other than Chris's tendency to insert everything from real life into
this actually does sound like the birth of a religion. It's somebody
shit like this right here is why I think all fan fiction is fucking gay.
It pretty much is.
Holy fucking Christ.
Sonichu and Rosechu kissed and became lovers. About a month later, as Chris resumed his community college classes for the 4th year, he came up with a brilliant idea to solve his problem. He posted up the very first attraction sign, which was a resume to attract a girlfriend. The sign read, 21 and single white male. Shy, smart, young at heart, computer skilled, humorous. A great thinker and go-getter. Natural salesperson. Enjoys good parts of life. Diplomatic, friendly, loves his family.
I personally enjoy the worst and shitty parts of life. You know, enjoys good parts of life.
Peaceful, very creative. He's lonely, seeking a cute 18 to 21 single female companion. 18 to 21 years of age, does not already have a boyfriend. Single, average to slender weight/body type. White, lives in Charlottesville or Ruckersville area. Does not smoke or drink alcohol. Happy, positive personality. Average/high income. Drives a vehicle. If any men read this huge
average/high income between 18 and 21?
Except marrieds and blacks, go jump off a cliff. Have a nice day. You know,
what
I would make fun of the fact that he requires the girl to be average to slender, have income, and drive a vehicle, despite Chris himself possessing none of those things. However, my standards have become so low
quick.
Blacks and marrieds could go jump off a cliff.
What the
buddy?
Fuck?
Whoa,
what the
buddy!
Fuck?
This is the beginning of the saga. We have 20 more years of Chris Channery to go over.
Oh my god!
the typical
yeah.
kind of person I cover in my videos that, honestly, I'm just glad he's looking for someone older than 18. Even lolcows used to have standards back then. They should strive to be more
fair.
like Chris. Oh yeah, don't let me forget to mention that he also emblazoned this sign with some, like, white version of Sonichu, perhaps to signal how much importance he attributes to the girl being white.
Super
This month is also
Sonichu.
special because that's when Chris makes his debut as a recording artist, dropping his album Christian and the Hedgehog Boys. It's interesting to know that the cover includes Chris alongside Sonic and Sonichu in the foreground, while two black versions of Sonic, at least one of which is supposed to be Shadow the Hedgehog, are in the back, looking upset. The album boasts 8 tracks, all of which consist of Chris reciting parody lyrics over actual songs, not even instrumentals, just full-on songs, ranging anywhere from Backstreet Boys to the Macarena. Seriously, just get a load of So Need a Cute Girl, Chris's rendition of the Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way.
And I never wanna hear I am a boyfriend.
Another track, Best Friends Forever, is subliminally dedicated to the aforementioned Sarah Hammer, who at this point had a boyfriend whom Chris was jealous of. The lyrics are quite interesting. You hang out with your new friends you made and your boyfriend who acts as a black Sonichu. It is your choice to go with them instead of me. Soon you'll realize you're not complete because I'm not there. If it wasn't clear yet, Sonichu, along with pretty much every other character he made up, were either self-inserts or blatant wish fulfillment fantasies for Chris. Because of his utter inability to deal with the problems he was facing in his life, he articulated them through his OC. After a few months of his sign being posted up without any takers, as you'd expect, it was taken down by the dean of the college, Mary Lee Walsh. Chris had a few words to say about her. That evil witch, Mary Lee Walsh, mocked me and even crumbled my efforts and threw them into my face. It was serious heart-shattering insults like that which literally shattered my heart to almost nothing and murdered my soul. Like, as if I didn't already understand that
Oh
love
no,
can't
we're
be
getting
hurried,
dark,
but they all left a
Christian.
huge impression among the general population that having a sweetheart was illegal in Virginia. Thus, Virginia is for virgins, not lovers. Despite Mary's best efforts, every time she took one of Chris's signs down, he just made more and more of them and posted them up around campus, even creating MySpace and Facebook pages to advertise his pursuit of a boyfriend-free girl. As 2004 began, Chris began mulling over the idea of merging his writings with his drawings and making comic strips for his Sonichu stories. He also tries to negotiate with Mary Lee over emails, saying, "Mary, I've slept on it and I've realized that note hanging is not the way to get attention, and I don't really want to meet with either you nor Susan. No offense. I'll tell you what, let's forget the meeting, and if you will allow my newsletter to stay in distribution, I will do all of the following. I will never hang notes on the wall again. I'll consider stopping my silent treatment on Susan. I'll consider knocking you and Susan up my scale of respect each by 2 points.
I don't think that
0
was even-
equals no respect,
Oh, man.
10 equals respect.
Oh,
My
man.
newsletter,
We
Chris
got a
runs the Sonichu's
scale
News
here.
Dash, which he thought would more effectively attract girls by
They must have been really hurt by this. Damn. Chris Chan doesn't like us.
I'm very glad to know we have a standard rating system where we all qualify based on Chris's opinion of us.
I can only hope I'm at least a 6. I would be heartbroken if I was below.
If
a
I'm
6.
not if I'm not a 10, I will self-delete.
It's over. It's all over
Done.
now.
Fucking done. Fucking done, bro.
mesmerizing them with his artistic talent. Mary wisely chose to not engage with Chris's shenanigans, opting to just remind him of when his appointment was and leave it at that. At said meeting, despite Chris's Saul Goodman tier bargaining skills, he was forbidden from putting up signs as well as distributing his newsletter, which deeply embittered him, leading him to resent Mary and make her the primary villain of Sonichu's adventures from then on. In one of the diary entries he would post to his non-existent MySpace accounts, Chris wrote, "Mary Lee Walsh made it illegal to distribute the news dash. I am very angry at that. In response, I plan to incite the masses and hope they demand the return of the news dash so my chances on getting a girlfriend can be restored. I've also declared war on them as well." About a month later, he added that Mary Lee tried to get him kicked out of college altogether for his stunts, though it's unknown the degree
How
to
are
which
those
that's true,
things
as
directly
Chris is a very
related at
unreliable
all?
narrator. Since he could no longer attract the ladies in the college campus, he took his side to the Charlottesville Fashion Square Mall. Though initially seeming more promising than his love quest attempt in the college campus, it ran into problems at the mall as well. His diary entries
brutal,
go into detail.
dude.
"I've just had my worst trip
My
to the mall. I
side.
was working with my
Fucking
heart on a red string
brutal.
of fate when from out of the blue, a jerk cop shattered my heart and ripped up the red string. I am very mad and upset because that jerk took my idea for a fall, just like that expletive at PVCC did." Before I read on, I have to make a note here to explain that the red string of fate Chris mentions is referring to a heart made out of paper that he would throw at girls at the mall in the hopes they held onto it so that he could reel them in. If this sounds insane, it's because it is. Anyway, Chris continues, "I was not bothering anyone at the mall today while I was just trying to sell myself when I got arrested for trying. I fortunately did not go to jail, but I've been stripped of my right to go to the mall by myself. I would be required to bring my mom or dad with me. My independence and my soul were practically murdered. This encounter inspired him to create one of
independence
his
was
most
not
famous terms, jerk
capitalized.
cops, a
Come on,
portmanteau of
bro.
Jerk and cops. From then on, whenever something bad happened to him,
Soul
Chris would find a way to blame it
murdered.
on the jerk cops. He even made a Pokemon card for them with the description reading,
That's a
"This
Yu-Gi-Oh
proper
card.
fiend wants to shatter the virgin's heart by
Fraud.
destroying his tools for attracting a boyfriend-free woman." Within a week of his arrest, and possibly because of it, Chris gets suspended from his college, saying, "I got suspended from PVCC by the board, and I have that meddling, expletive, to thank for this as well. I am super angry. My dad is bloodthirsty for revenge as well. He's going to write to U.S. President George W. Bush Jr. and Laura Bush to help me get allowed back to PVCC. We all curse death
All
upon Mary Lee
right.
Walsh." After this, both his
Making
diary entries and his
moves.
attempts at the love quest died down for the time being, most likely due to his parents telling him to
Oh
cut back
my
on it to avoid getting
God.
in even more trouble. In the meantime, Chris was mandated to consult consult a psychiatrist for an evaluation as a result of his community college's board. It has a few noteworthy excerpts, such as, according to his parents, there have been a number of incidents which led to his suspension. They feel strongly that the suspension was unwarranted and did not take into account the patient's developmental limitations. One such occurrence was during an interaction with African-American classmates. These young women were questioning the patient regarding his search for a girlfriend, at which point he told them they could not be his girlfriend because they were not white. This was received as racially insensitive, although from the patient's perspective, he was merely pointing out that they did not meet the standard criteria for a female companion. To the surprise of many, the psychiatrist considered Chris to be dealing with his autism in a relatively healthy way, despite the occasional mischief he
doesn't sound like
One
it.
interesting point that isn't brought up as a consequence of this document is the fact that both the Love Quest and Sonichu, Chris's two most destructive obsessions by far, only began manifesting after Chris began taking Paxil in 2000. Though I'm no specialist on the matter, some have said that Chris should not have been put on an antidepressant, let alone Paxil, which is the most potent SSRI available. Considering how mild his symptoms were up until that point, it would make a lot more sense for him to just have regular appointments with a psychologist instead of being medicated with no follow-up whatsoever. The psychiatrist that did this particular evaluation, however, was not of this opinion, and instead recommended that his dose of Paxil be increased from 20 milligrams to 30 milligrams daily. I bet
I'm
that
sure
after this,
that won't
Chris
hurt
improved by
anything.
leaps and bounds. Regardless, the rest of 2004 was quiet, with the exception of a video Chris recorded in his bedroom singing a few of his songs, wherein he was wearing the outfit he would become almost exclusively associated with. Along with it, he is donning his esteemed Sonichu medallion, completing the Chris Chan uniform to a T. Unfortunately, despite asking Santa Claus for a girlfriend, Chris spends yet another Christmas as a virgin full of rage. 2005 rolls around, and a few posts begin popping up on Chris's website, claiming to be hot chicks who have seen him at the mall, but didn't come up to him for one reason or another. Though few and far between at this point, these were Chris's first proper trolls. First of exceedingly many. However, one of the people that commented this wasn't joking. An actual girl witnessed what Chris was up to at the mall she worked at and decided to seek his website out. This was quite the event, since up until this moment, Chris never got the time of day from anyone, let alone a girl. Her name was Anna. In a blog post titled "The Tale of the Crazy Pacer," she writes extensively about her encounter with Chris, saying, "Once upon a time there was a guy who paced in front of Abercrombie & Fitch. He'd come and do it for hours on end, just walking back and forth. He was an okay looking guy, not evil looking like creepy molester dude, so he would pace for his allotted time, then leave. Sometimes as he paced, he would sing or shout. Nobody really could ever tell what he was saying. Oh yeah, and he always wore the same shirt, a nice little long sleeved red and blue number that had a gold crest on the left side and a white collar and cuffs. Someone, I can't remember who, suggested that the next time he looked in, we wave at him. Whoever suggested it should die, unless it was me, in which case I feel like Of course, he looked in and we all waved at him. He looked kind of bewildered and sort of scared at first, but quickly caught on and waved back. So we went about our business doing floor set and junks, and a little while later he came in. I was kind of apprehensive about this. I mean, I've been doing floor set all day and I didn't really feel up to dealing with another crazy, but he came right up to the counter I was standing behind, and he looks right at me, all fidgety and twitchy, and this conversation ensued. Chris, he looks to be about 19 years old, right? I busted out laughing because he guessed it right. That's exactly right. See, I know these things. I can just tell how old someone is, he said, kind of proud and still timid at the same time. My name is Christian, but you can call me Chris. I'm Christian W. Chandler. Oh, hi Chris. So, do angels have names? I found out later that he meant to say, do angels like you have names? Poor guy was so nervous he didn't get it right. Probably, but I don't know. Well, what's your name? Sorry, I don't go for pickup lines, I replied, kind of laughing. His face kind of fell and I felt sorry for him, but he pressed on. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult you. I was just asking your name. So what is your name? My name is Anna. Okay, well, Anna, is there any way I could get your phone number and maybe I could give you a call sometime? No. Well, do you want my phone number then? You can call me on my cell phone. No thanks.
No,
so,
thanks.
Do you have a boyfriend, Anna? No, I'm not looking for one though. All right. Well, do you have access to the internet? Yes. Okay, hold on one second, I'll be right back. I nodded, and he went back to his spot where he kept his 2 tote bags and his Sam's Club cup. So Christian came back and handed me a card with a crudely drawn Sonic the Hedgehog and some other yellow Sonic-looking creature on it, along with Christian's name, email address, and website. It was a homemade business card. That's my email address, and you can just email me sometime, okay? Okay, I said, not intending to email him at all. Despite how awkward these exchanges self-evidently were, you gotta give it up for Chris's autistic riz, even if just a little bit. For a guy with as many setbacks as him, he handled the situation with more dignity than expected. Many guys today are afraid to even approach a girl. On March 24th, he released one of the earliest proper comic book productions, Sonichu Adventure Sub-Episode 1, dubbed Jerkop-tastrophe. Despite being called Sonichu Adventure, it's mostly just about Chris himself, retelling the story about being banned from a mall. On March 29th, an update to his love quest is posted to his diary. Well, at the mall today, my heart had an extremely fast recovery. Then it became majorly shattered again. I went to the mall like normal, I picked up some chicken nuggets and a drink, then I went to my spot. I pulled up a chair to sit and eat my food. Then from out of the blue, this cute girl approached me, and she asked me if I was looking for a girlfriend. Her name was Hannah, and she was 18 years old. I said yes, and we small talked for a bit. Then she invited me over to Starbucks for coffee. After she left, I became very excited, and oh my god, all over. After calling mom and eating my nuggets, I lefted the chair with such cheer and grace, and spun around with it like a dancer. Then I put it back where it was. I felt that my love quest had finally come to an end, and I so elated that my shattered heart had a full fast recovery. I went to Starbucks, and we talked about basic things. I showed her my Sonichu scrapbook. She was very impressed. I gave her my email,
I'm sure she was, buddy,
on a Sonichu site card, and she gave me her email address. I was very attentive as I took notes about her and maintained eye contact. As I left her, I gave a double take flirt. That was the rise. Now here comes the fall. As I was sitting at my spot thinking about future steps for later dates, Anna
flirt.
and Dana told me that when they talked to Hannah, she told them she was setting me up in a prank. I
Stop
could not
on your
believe
right
it, so I
foot,
found
don't
and asked Hannah.
forget it.
Sadly, it was true. Then in major shock, Hannah and Dana told me that when they talked to Hannah, she told them that she was setting me up in a prank. I could not believe it, so I found and asked Hannah. Sadly, it was true. Then in major shock, my heart shattered again by 85%, and I let out a big no. After that shout, I got kicked out again, and I'm still without the Fashion Square shopping center that I've grown accustomed to.
I believe that actually happened.
So my love quest has restarted, and as for that date of ours, I'll always remember it, but as far as I'm concerned, it does not count as my first date. I was not as happy as I was today in a long time. I am once again heart shattered and sad, but I will not give
Were
up
you
on my
ever
love quest,
happy?
because there has to be one
But
true
it-
boyfriend
but is he
free,
crestfallen?
non-pranking
That's
girl
what I
out there
wanna know.
somewhere. Poor guy really cannot catch a break. Around this time, Chris finished Sonichu number 0, the first proper edition of the comic book series, the hand-drawn premiere issue as he puts it. The stories in it were mostly reworkings of previous standalone comic strips, complete with nonsensical plots and nightmarishly ugly artwork that Chris Chan later became synonymous with. He also begins drawing new Sonichu releases during his public outings for his love quest, and is even noticed by someone who gives probably one of the best summaries of Chris Chan's essence at this point in their blog post. So Sonichu returns to Alderman today. I'm not sure what to make of him. He sits in his chair and draws his Sonichu comics, harmless I assume, yet I feel like he knows he's different. He knows that the world rushing in front of him is not his own. Surrounded by the brightest students in America, whatever that means, he sits in his chair and draws, 23 years old. I'm not sure he even graduated high school. In front of him, texts of Plato, Faulkner, God, and Kleist swirl. Does he have the capacity to understand these works? Whether he can or not, I'm
Doubt
not
it.
sure, but there is something in his eyes that realizes that there is a level of understanding and thought that he is unable to partake in. As he slumps lower and lower in his chair, with each student he eyes reading or holding a book, he falls into himself, into the markers and colors on the page in front of him. He seems intelligent enough to understand that he does not understand, and that is the hardest part of all. I never thought I'd see Chris be described this poetically in my life.
I have no
suppose
brain,
there's a
and I
first
must
time for
think.
everything. Amidst these sightings, Chris decides to go to the Mid-Atlantic Anime Convention, where he took a few printed copies of Sonichu number 0 and distributed them to whoever would accept. As his love quest sinks to new lows, Chris gets kicked out from the local McDonald's, where he's also been conducting his attraction sign experiments. I'll spare you from hearing the diary entry in its full extent, but the Managerks, Chris's nickname for the managers, started calling the cops on Chris for loitering in their establishment. In later Sonichu episodes, the manager received in-universe
Buy a
stand-ins.
McDouble or
One of them
something.
was named Married Senor Comic, an alias which is completely unexplainable to anyone with a functioning brain, and for
That
no
was
apparent
back
reason,
when they were
had
a
robot
dollar.
arms and legs. After Married
Yeah,
Senor,
they were.
Chris's creativity must have
Good
run out,
days.
since the other one was just succinctly referred to as Black Fat Jerk, on account of the fact that, to Chris, that's all he really was. If his diary entry is anything to go by, Chris began explaining his situation to them in song and dance. When one of the managers asked
Why
Chris
does he
to
have
just
to
have
be
a normal
black,
conversation
bro?
with him, he sat silent for a minute until he came up with possibly
This
the most
face-
schizophrenic
this
own
face is
ever
killing
uttered.
me,
I do
bro.
not speak to any man other than myself, because they have all taken pretty girls, leaving me with none. What a wordsmith. He followed this up by giving them verbal punishment, the finger, and last but not least, curse ye ha-me-has. What's a curse ye ha-me-ha, you may ask? Well, luckily for us, Chris has demonstrated in video.
Curse ye,
A month later, a similar situation played out at Target, as the managers called the cops on Chris. He claims that, as he was about to give them a prepared speech, 5 cops chased him down, pulled his pants,
I'm gonna
handcuffed
kill
his wrists and
myself.
legs, and hogtied him. After being briefly taken to county
Cody.
jail, Chris was given a court date for disorderly conduct.
There you
He
go,
was
Zach.
later on, he
Cody.
There you
dramatized the
go.
situation in a Sonichu comic, as he always did.
Holy
Fortunately for Chris,
shit.
after 2 hearings, he was given a $30 fine and had to pay $56 in costs. Within a week of the Target fiasco, he was once
$56
again arrested for
dollars.
following too close while
Back then,
driving.
that was
And
worth
yes, at this point,
something.
he was a licensed driver. If you
Oh no.
No.
Yes. This.
No.
Yes. Yes.
No.
I was gonna say you don't want to be on the other end of one of those Kamehamehas, dude. It'll ruin your life. That's the same energy he puts in the Sonichu medallions.
Bro, this guy's life story, let me tell you, brother.
We're not even close to the end.
Tragic. Tragic. Fucking
believe it.
tragic.
After his suspension from college was lifted and he started
Yeah.
regularly interacting with other people his age again, things relaxed a bit for a while as advances were made in the love quest. After bidding goodbye to Anna, who moved to Utah, Chris makes a few
Love
more
quest.
attempts at finding
Love
a date over
quest.
MySpace
Love
messages,
quest.
mostly to no avail. The first one was Jelena, who turned him down because he seemed too desperate. Then came Lindsay,
Oof.
who consistently rescheduled her dates over the course of 2 months in order to never actually have to see Chris in real life. Overall,
Oof.
things seemed dire for our brave hero. But it was around this
That's
time that he began
definitely
to arouse online
it.
attention.
Yeah,
with a thread
goddamn.
on a Sega forum centered around Sonichu popping up. Earlier that year, YouTube was created, so the golden age of Chris Chan was at the gates. Meanwhile, he was getting some
no.
traction with
Oh,
Xenials.
no.
Though his application to become a official Nintendo game tester was rejected, Chris got into regular correspondence with a girl named Megan.
Oh,
On the 1st of
no.
November, Megan emailed Chris asking him to buy
She
an
looks
episode
so
of Tintin
upset.
on eBay for her. They had already met in person before in a video game convention a year prior, but it wasn't until these emails at the tail end of 2005 that Chris grew obsessed with her. Though she clarified from the get-go that she wasn't interested in Chris, or anyone for that matter, in a romantic way, this didn't deter Chris, who clearly saw her as a love interest and continued to invite her on dates. To date, Megan was probably the person who had been the nicest and most patient with Chris. 2006 marked a significant rise in Chris buying the most random, useless garbage from eBay, from My Little Pony and Sailor Moon paraphernalia.
Before he even said it,
Marked a significant rise in Chris buying most random, useless garbage from
right there. My Little Pony.
eBay for My Little Pony.
I
and Sailor Moon
told you, I
paraphernalia to
fucking
German World War
told
II
you.
photos. Apparently,
A
all
lot
of
of shit he's
purchases were
bidding
influenced
on.
by Megan's interests. Based on our emails, we know
Hey,
that
nice
Megan was
jacket
into
there,
MLP,
Megan.
Sailor Moon, and for some mysterious reason, Wehrmacht soldiers from World War II. Considering how desperate Chris was to get a girlfriend, it's surprising he didn't start LARPing
Excuse
as a
me?
to impress her. Eventually, he got her a Nintendo DS, which she turned down due to the fact that she already had one she bought herself. While Chris was busy spinning his wheels into the mud during his love quest by chasing after an uninterested Megan, he managed to graduate from
Fucking
community
love
college,
quest.
getting a degree in computer-aided drafting.
Christian has an associate's degree.
In computer-aided drafting, right? Oh, and
Yeah,
design.
and design. I don't even have one of those. Neither do you.
Man, bro could literally build Sonichu-shaped buildings.
That's probably the reason he hasn't been hired, is because that's what he was trying to do.
My God.
So we see that you just got your degree. What is your expertise? Sonichu.
Sonichu.
Get out of my fucking
In
office.
design. Over
There's
time,
a
Chris
there's
began
a
wearing her
whole
down,
lore.
continually being
There's a
pushy about
whole
wanting to
fucking
date her,
lore,
despite her
brother.
repeatedly saying she wasn't interested. Most likely because of this, Megan severely limited the amount of times they met up in real life to once a week. And even then, Chris would take that as an
That's way
opportunity
too
to be as
many.
handy as possible, which he obviously wasn't okay with. After months of this dynamic going back and forth, Chris overstepped a few boundaries when he started complaining about Megan being friendly with other guys. This was grating for her since not only were they not dating, but she was also not interested in the guys Chris was paranoid about. This caused her to email him in a slightly stricter tone, saying, "I don't want to have to tell you again or I might get really angry, because you know unwanted remarks or advances to a girl is sexual harassment, and I don't take that lightly, okay? So can you understand now? Anyway, sometimes I get the feeling that you copy me to get me to like you. Like Sailor Moon, for example. The only Sailor Moon thing you had was that adult video, and since I told you how much I love it, then you started getting into it. Kind of like My Little Pony. That kind of thing really annoys me. You make it sound like I have to get your approval to be that kind of friendly to someone. And I felt rather disappointed about those remarks. And you already know I don't love you, so why do you make yourself unhappy by holding grudges and trying so hard to win me over? So please, if you really want to make me happy, please let me make my own decisions and figure out my own life."
Oh, this is from her. Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
from him.
No. This is the lady, bro. This is the lady.
Okay. Besides, even if
Don't
I had
show
a
this
boyfriend,
guy
it makes me think
adult
I'll stop being friends
videos.
with you. I'm not that kind of person who'd say, "Well, I have a boyfriend now, so see ya." No, I'm not that kind of bitchy girl. You know, I haven't talked to this person in a year. I'm not really wanting to get together with him either. Boyfriends aren't for me. Don't want them, don't need them. However, I can't say I like how much you call him a lucky jerk. Why is he a jerk? Why do you call all guys that? Because they take all the pretty girls, leaving you none to choose from? Hate to be blunt, but
Yes.
that's a pathetic way to think. You don't go to a mall and buy a girlfriend. The thing is, guys didn't take all the girls. The girls just didn't choose you. Quit blaming other men.
Ooh.
Personally, I think you shouldn't be so picky about what they look like. All you say is you want a pretty girl. Well, it's the inside that counts. After all, a pretty girl can have the personality of Satan. Meanwhile, an ugly girl may
And
have
they
a heart of
often
gold,
do.
But you wouldn't even give a second look, would you? I often wonder, if I was an ugly
I don't
girl,
know their
you wouldn't even come
names.
near me,
I've
would
seen
you?
them first.
Little did poor Megan know that the powers of the Chaos Emeralds render Chris impervious to reality checks of any nature. While this drama ensued, Chris never stopped cranking out new issues of Sonichu, all containing the same themes recycled over and over again, such as Sonichu's enemies always being conspicuously black, the text bubbles being randomly placed on the page with no discernible reading order, Chris vicariously defeating his real-life opponents such as Mary Lee Walsh, and the guy who Sarah Hammer dated instead of him, so on and so forth. What was noticeable in the later episodes was that, progressively, Sonichu became a secondary character in his own comic, with the protagonist becoming Chris himself. Sonichu's function was primarily to serve and protect Chris, and every once in a while symbolically represent who he wanted to be. Additionally, other than real-life people, Chris also added a character called Crystal Weston Chandler, the female version of himself that seems to simultaneously.
It is literally like the worst possible version of Steven Universe.
He was growing up at the time. I bet he'd be a huge Steven Universe fan.
Oh my God. Oh, it hurts my soul, brother.
I mean, even despite that, I bet he is. I mean, how could you not be with this level of autism?
bro.
I'm just glad my nephew never discovered Steven Universe. The world might collapse.
Honestly, fulfill the ideal role of the mom.
Did I tell that story on here?
I don't know if you did it on stream, but I know the story you're talking about.
So, my nephew, my brother's son, severely autistic, great kid. He's doing a lot better now, but he's mostly nonverbal even now, and he's like 21, I think he turned this year. When I was living with my parents a couple of years ago, I would always interact with him, like, and he would talk to me only as little as possible. The only person he would ever talk to meaningfully was my mom. And one day, when I'm really fucking hungover, I'm laying in my bed, and I look up, and he's standing over my bed staring at me. And I just look at him, and he goes, "Goodbye, Uncle Chad," and then he just swiftly leaves the room, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
And that's the moment when the pillowcase went over the face and Chad was no more.
Goodbye, Uncle Chad. No! He's a big kid, too. He's like 6'3". Probably murder the shit out of me if he wanted to. But he's a sweet kid. Just He's never done any of
Goodbye.
this. He's never done
Good.
it.
Goodbye, Chad.
No. Wait.
Oh God! Oh God!
This is how I go, huh?
So much for Scruffy's gonna die the way he lived.
And that's what I called a priest, right, Zach?
Oh my God.
To be fair, when he said goodbye, he was leaving. So there is that.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice death, never to return.
The ideal daughter, the ideal sister, and the ideal girlfriend. The fact that this guy wasn't regularly seeing a therapist is a travesty, to be honest. As Megan put a healthy amount of distance between herself and
I don't know
Chris,
if they
his
can
eBay
help.
purchases started drifting towards the salacious. Items include Bootylicious Love Doll, Pearl Beaded Prolong Ring, Nina Hartley's Guide to Sex Toys, and my personal favorite, Space Nuts. After years of frustration, Chris began taking matters into his own hands, and following this general theme, he also decided to give up on Santa, since for the past 3 years, he was asking for a girlfriend which Santa never delivered. 2007 begins, and Chris begins working on a new project called Yep, I'm on TV, which consists of videos he had recorded on VHS tapes burned onto a DVD. Of course, he had no idea how valuable an archive of his activities would eventually become, and most likely he just did this out of his narcissistic self-obsession with every moment of his life. Later on, the leaking of this DVD was of great assistance to those interested in the CWC lore. But at the very end of this highlight reel about Chris's life, there was one video filmed solely for the purposes of being put into the DVD called Christian Weston Chandler's Future Message.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and dudes of all teenagers.
In this 9-minute-long prophetic manifesto,
Dudes of all
Chris summarizes
teenagers.
the lessons he had learned up until this point. He did this because, ideally, he wanted this video to be played in schools. In it, he goes on about why going to school isn't torture, why drinking and smoking are bad, the extreme importance of staying straight, and last but not least, that girls should consider dating uglier guys because they will have a better personality and a brighter future. It's around this time that Chris reconnects with Cole, his previously mentioned half-brother, to offer him a copy of his autobiographical DVD. For the first half of the year, it's business as usual for Chris, who continues to exchange emails with Megan, where she continually complains about him touching her when she doesn't want him to. By June, she leaves for Kentucky, and Chris misses her dearly since she was pretty much the only female he could get close to that wasn't his mom. This wasn't the only thing causing him to be upset though, as by the end of June, Chris's dog Patty, that he had had since 1988, had to be put down. He even wrote his dog a eulogy, saying, "When Patty was brought to the vet on that faithful day, I was distraught with fright and concern for her health. I stayed with her during her final moments with my hand on her head and a tear in my eye. When my mother was brought the paper that gave the doctor permission to send her on her way, I didn't want her to be the one to sign it. I raised Patty since she was a 6-week-old pup, and I wanted to take the strain for signing the one-way ticket. It was hard for me, but it was for the best. So I signed that paper with a crying Sonichu face saying, 'We love you, Patty.' After that, I gave her my final kiss, hug, hand to paw hold, eye contact, ear rub, cheek to fur rub, and I sadly waved her for the final time, and I said, 'Goodbye, Patty. I love you.' As I stood outside, I heard Patty's last bark saying, 'I will always love you, Chris. Thank you.' Regardless of how thorny and problematic of an individual Chris Chan is, losing a pet you've had for that long is tough. Especially considering how few and far
We
between.
gotta pause real quick. Man, that's some bullshit right there. Like, man, it's a rough one for me here.
Yeah,
One of not a core memory per se, but like this is something that sticks with you. Like I've put down animals before. We had a black lab. Like you don't walk out on the room on that. You don't.
No, you have to be there when it happens. That's one of the biggest regrets I have about my cat that passed 2 years ago is that my mom was going to take him to the vet to see what she could do, and he ended up passing overnight at her house.
I mean, at that point, nothing you can do about that. But when you're actively taking your animal to the vet to be put down, you don't just walk out of the room like that.
You got to be there. And same
I mean,
situation.
I get it. Everybody processes it differently, sure. But, like, you at least owe your pet that much to be there in the final moments.
At the end of the day, that's just one moment that hurts. And it's not going to hurt less if you leave, to be honest. At the end of the day, it's just going to make it worse.
Yep.
And for the pet, it's
Absolutely,
everything. Yeah, like
you were literally their entire life, brother.
Yep. And like growing up, shit. 3 dogs, 6 cats at my parents' house growing up that I was there for all of them.
Shit's fucking brutal.
It is.
But I mean, it's part of life too.
It's an important part of life. It helps make you stronger as a person.
Learn how to process shit, everything like that, you know? Like, man, not dealing with it is not going to fix anything.
Oh, well, not like this person's going to get any better.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, that's where I'm like, fat load of horse shit. If you were that broke up about it, you'd have been in the room the whole time.
Let me try something here real quick. I've noticed something.
What's that?
If the Stream Elements bot hasn't been doing stuff, what's the fucking command? Oh, there we go. It works. I just wanted to make sure it worked. Might have to reset that.
Probably because you didn't have the right shit in the stream title.
Ah, you're probably right. I mean, bad advice.
Did you spell it correctly?
You made me look.
Clever girl.
Clever
girl.
Clever girl.
And it's hard not to feel for the guy. But let's not dwell on this for too long because Chris did not either. By July, Christian had entered a contest called Chop Chop Master Onion's Rap Showdown, which was created to promote the Parappa the Rapper game that was coming out that year. The grand prize was 2 PSPs and an all-expenses-paid trip to Seattle for the 2007 Penny Arcade Expo, which Chris was hoping to use in order to seduce Megan out of Kentucky and back into his arms. Well, not quite back since she was never there. Anyway, this is Chris's entry if you were curious.
AP Station. My name is Christian Chandler. I live in Bucksville, Virginia. I have a PSP. I like to rap. I play with the rapper. I go with him now. The only song I know is Master Onion.
July was also a very active month for his eBay, and he bought
Did any of that rhyme?
Adult videos and masturbation aids of all kinds. Mind you, all of these trinkets, gizmos, and gadgets were bought on the credit card of a nearly 80-year-old Bob. Whenever he wasn't getting busy with those, he was emailing every person he'd ever interacted with in his life to vote for his Parappa the Rapper contest entry so that he'd win the prize. He even tried Cole, but to no avail, since he seemed to be interested exclusively in trashing Chris's parents. This technique must have proved effective since his video made it to the final rounds, but in early August, it was made public that the winner of the contest was not Chris, but a guy named Adam Stackhouse. Chris would put in his 2 cents about this unfavorable result. That stupid, no good Adam Stackhouse won the trip. He had music and more than one person in his video, which were in violation of the official rules. 3 other videos,
are you sure about that?
Apperlewski, Brutal, and Soria Buckwald all violated the official rules as well. Those 7 people of those 4 videos should have been disqualified. Period. I am so angry.
I'm the victim. I'm the victim.
What I want to know is that does he actually think that the rules were violated, or is he just making this shit up?
Well, that's where the narcissism comes in, bro. Is like fucking all he cares about is himself, and when things don't go his way, he's the victim.
Inability to self-reflect or take any blame.
Justice. Sworn on my autism, justice will be served to the 7 people.
Sworn on my
videos.
autism.
Of course, while
justice will be served.
Himself and made over
Does that mean it goes away if he's wrong?
As he admitted in an email to Megan. Also, his claims that Adam's video had music are based on the facts that Adam beatboxed, which hardly qualifies. In any event, his tirades continued over at his PSN blog. This is directed mostly to Adam Stackhouse, the SOB who was the alphabetically first video in the Parappa contest and got wrongfully the big prize. I loathe Adam and his sister.
Something worth pointing out. At least the kid in the other video actually is wearing like the beanie and everything like Parappa. Like, bro is cosplaying the rapper, bro. You didn't do shit except for sit there and be fat.
That's nothing on Sonichu, bro. He had the medallion on.
It's Parappa the rapper, not fucking Sonichu the rapper, bro. This ain't another one of his fanfics. Sorry.
The world is his fanfic, according to him, dude.
Fucking Christ.
Stealing my one chance at taking my sweet gal friend to Seattle. It would have been terrific. I might have even been able to change her outlook on not planning on having children.
We can change her!
Virgins, although I am a frustrated, high-functionally autistic 25-year-old virgin. I don't have much going on for me, really, because I have been the dog in America's favorite game, Kick the Autistic, for my whole life. I curse those 7 people between the cast of the 3 legal videos to die and burn.
Can I get on that show?
If he's reading this and is asking, "You've got something to say to me?" I do. P.S. Fuck you, you dream-smashing son of a bitch. One thing I've neglected to mention is that, while Megan was away in Kentucky, she wasn't checking her emails, so she had no idea what kind of garbage Chris was filling her inbox with. When she returned and saw what I'd been up to, she once again tried her very best to shut Chris down. I just want to say that your behavior has irritated me for the last time. First, I'll start off with saying that I'm glad you didn't win the contest, because I have no interest in going on a trip alone with someone who can't keep his hands off me. I'm not your girlfriend and I never will be. When I say, don't touch me, that means don't touch me. What may seem friendly to you is sexual harassment to me. You whine that you're just being friendly, but you obviously have no consideration for my feelings. Also, I can't say I like how you use my photo in your video and on the cover of your comic book. I want them removed from the internet immediately. Since I'm not a MySpace member, I can't view what you post. If there are any photos of me on your blog, I want them removed. And I don't like your Megan obsession. I don't like being a character in your comics. I don't like how you made me a character in Soul Calibur and Animal Crossing. That kind of behavior really freaks me out. With all that said, we're down to 2 options. A, we remain friends and only friends, period. As in no more touching me, following me, asking me personal questions, and giving me things. We can still battle and trade cards and talk. Or B, never see me again. I'm sorry it's come down to this, but I've told you repeatedly in a nice way to stop, but you've never listened. I hope you will finally take what I just said into serious consideration, and now know that if you try your advances again, I won't be very nice about it. Despite how clear Megan was being, it would once again fall on mostly deaf ears, as Chris would reply with,
"Well, my heart, my heart."
The hearts in his eyes. So smart. So brave.
So smart. Such brave. Such brave.
But do you want me? Recurring
and again,
theme of the show.
We went from Pokemon to Yu-Gi-Oh here using the life points.
I think those are supposed to be love points in this case.
He's about as fucking dense as one. God damn.
But should I continue? I really got to piss. I'm going to be like 2 minutes. Should I continue, or you want to talk to the chat for a little bit?
No, I mean, whatever is clever, bro. I'm about to go do the same once you get back, just so
All right,
we ain't
we'll
leaving
just-
everybody quiet.
We'll just do a swap then.
No swippity swap. Oh, yeah. He's about to go shake his wee-wee. Wouldn't you know it? Just saying, if I had the opportunity to shake my wee-wee, I'd do it at least 3 times. The question is, what's he going to do once he gets back? Or honestly, I might just make all of you listen to me pee. It's going to be a raging stream. Be like the dam over Isengard breaking through. For any of you Lord of the Rings fans. Oh, I know I'm live, Vic. I know I'm absolutely live. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know why they call me the summer's hottest thriller, Vic? I'm coming soon.
I've got balls of steel.
Oh, fuck yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Right, my turn. Also, you look like Dr. Robotnik, but with the Bandit Keith headband. Just saying.
That's perfectly appropriate for this stream then. Once again, I
You
want to thank...
you really need the twirled out mustache, but all right, I'll be right back.
Oh, it was strategic placing, Lou. I did that on purpose. But anyway, thank you everybody for being here. It means the absolute most. We like doing this, and if you're going to stick around, we are only 49 minutes into this 3-hour excursion. We're going to try to get through most of it, if not all of it, tonight. And it only gets worse. Some of you may be familiar with what is to come, but I don't think Sean knows exactly what comes next. And we've got a long way to go, baby. Once again, if anybody would like to donate, let me do that right now. I have fucking so many devices going. Stream Elements goes to my PayPal. I'd appreciate it, and I'll even sing a song like I did that one time if you really want me to. I am a whore. I will do anything except get naked on camera for money. And if you actually give me money, I'll still get naked. But not here. Never here. Which... Chris Chan buying sex toys this early in the game was not on my bingo card, but it's happening already. Which I can go as long as we normally would, even if we go as long as we have previously. Like the last one was almost 5 hours. But I'm probably going to have to go to sleep right after that, which is okay. That's fine. We'll see how long I go. As long as I get a solid 6 hours of sleep.
All right, so yeah, no, I'm sorry. You might get naked for money, but me, I'll do that shit for free.
Not here, you won't.
Says you, buddy.
Not
Says you.
All right, everybody. Sean had to go. Sorry about that. We'll continue the stream.
Another email titled, Ouch, my
Dick's out for Harambe. Dick's out for Harambe.
All day, every day, baby.
Art, trying his hardest to guilt trip and yakking about his love quest once again, concluding it with a declaration of his love for her. A couple of weeks go by and Chris continues sending her love mail, all while purchasing more and more sex dolls. Eventually, it seems he did take what Megan said to heart and complied with her demands, and she thanks him for it. The peace treaty between them didn't last very long after Chris began expressing his distaste for one of Megan's friends who happened to be gay. After being confronted by Megan about it, Chris replied, "Originally, I was not fond of him, because it was obvious that he was a homo. Yes, I am a homophobe. I fear them all, and I fear the tormenting temptations of falling off the straight path.
I fear them all.
Sometimes from a DVD.
He uses the word correctly. I'll give him that.
Face. I'll tell you what, if I ever stoop down to changing my path, I might as well would get a gender change operation. What a prophetic statement from Mr.
Here we go. Here we go.
Patient with him, saying she understands why he's like this, and she also had a tough time in high school and felt very lonely. In that same month, a new dimension to the CWC story was revealed, as for the very first time, an online community took note of his existence. On a thread about Eulilia on the website Something Awful, Chris gets brought up, along with his Sonichu comics. Soon, he gets his own dedicated thread titled Sonichu and His quest for a boyfriend-free girl. After 2 decades of people either pitying or distancing themselves from him due to his eccentric sensibilities, Chris finally finds his niche, a target audience of people who relish in how strange and demented he is. In the thread, people point out how his website looks like a visual rendition of a grand mal seizure. Some even theorize that
I think he was just reading what I was reading.
Chris finally finds his niche, a target audience of people who relish in how strange and demented he is. In the thread, people point out how his website looks like a visual rendition of a grand mal seizure. Some even theorize that there was no way everything CWC made was this naturally awful, and that he must have been doing it on purpose as a really elaborate prank or performance art piece. But a handful of users actually had experienced Chris in person. One user said, "I posted in the other thread, but I've seen this guy in real life. This is no prank. He used to go to the college I attended until he got kicked out. If anyone here is from Charlottesville, Virginia, you may have seen him also. He hangs around the UVA Alderman Library and the Fashion Square Mall. I had seen him around campus and just thought he was in an anime club or something. I never saw him with his signs. I learned a lot more about him when he messaged my sister on MySpace and invited her out for a soda. She declined, and he became increasingly more aggressive towards her until she blocked him. Yes, he wears that astonishing necklace around everywhere he goes. People slowly realized that Chris was definitely not your run-of-the-mill internet weirdo. Not only was it evident he was a special kind of, well, special, but no one up until that point had probed the depths of the Quickiverse. Despite how small of a community there was around Chris and Sonichu at the time, it was like stumbling into King Tut's tomb and finding mountains of archaeological artifacts that had been hidden away from the world for centuries. The same user from the previous post found and shared an updated and enhanced version of the attraction sign on Chris's website. This edition included a list of Chris's turnoffs, which are the following: smokers, real drunk alcoholics, gone to Moe's often, current/previous mothers. I support them fully, but I would not feel comfortable walking into a previously made family. I would feel more comfortable starting fresh and having my own children. Real ugly women, currently over 230 pounds, the low functionally mentally handicapped, the seriously physically deformed, autistic, high functional or otherwise. Although I myself am high functionally autistic, but that's besides the point. Medium or dark chocolate, police women. What stands out, firstly, is the amount of hypocrisy in this list. Not only does he exclude the ugly, fat, and autistic, all of them being categories many would group him in with, but he says police women are a turnoff when, at this point, he had bought a total of 3 cop-themed blow-up dolls. He also mentions that others are a turnoff, but I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'll save that wretched can of worms for later. In the dark underbelly of the internet, news travels at light speed, and just a little after CWC's debut as a lolcow in the Something Awful forums, discussions about him sprung up in the cartoon and video game boards on 4chan. Unfortunately, because these were from so long ago that 4chan didn't have the reputation it currently has, and, consequently, almost nobody archived what went on, we don't have all of this chatter saved. Regardless, we can imagine the kind of discussions that were going on. A few days after the word of Chris Chan had been spread around, someone named Evan from the cartoons board emailed Chris saying, "This is some fan art of Sonichu my friends and I have drawn. I hope you enjoy it." One of the attached images seemed to be a GIF that depicted Chris in a staring match with a Sonic-like figure, and that was the only attachment that wasn't a veiled troll. The first one was a drawing of Chris in his love quest with a sign that said, "No darkies," while the other two were NSFW renditions of Chris and Sonichu doing unspeakable acts. Because of his infinite naivete, Chris replied, saying, "Thank you for your fan art contributions. In constructive criticism, I like the one with me in the girlfriend auditions, as well as my glaring in the eyes of the blue guy. But I am feeling great to test towards the other two. Sonichu and I are not of that nature at all. If you would like to make it up to me, though, please draw a strip of Rosachu stripping for Sonichu and have him fuck her, and draw Rosachu masturbating and squirting." Emphasis added. "I am straight, damn it. I will not be veered in any other disgustingly grotesque direction. Again, most nasty fan arts are not appreciated at all. Please feel free to share that goal with the rest of the fans. Sincerely, Christopher Weston."
Oh no.
If you want to make it up to me, draw a strip of Rosachu stripping for Sonichu and have him fuck her.
I mean, real talk. Real talk, brother. That's like the logical next step right there. We've gone from fan fiction to fan fiction. We can we have yet to hit the depths here. We have yet to plumb the depths.
We're not even like the beach is still in sight, buddy. We're not even all the way offshore yet.
Chandler. Attached was an image of Chris and Sonichu staring menacingly, subtitled by the phrase, "We're keeping track." It's bad enough that Chris likes the no darkies image, but the Rosachu hentai request signals a major shift that Chris was undergoing at this time, from oddball virgin to corrupt pervert. Evan obeyed his wish, but with a twist. Much to Chris's surprise and chagrin, Rosachu was depicted as having a giant penis. Chris replied, "Do me a favor, Rosachu. Rosachu is a girl. She never had a freaking pickle. If I see one more freaking pickle, and you may spread this quote to other adult fan artists, I will create you in Soul Calibur 3 and beat you up like there's no tomorrow." To which Evan responded with a simple, "Uh-oh," along with another MS Paint.
God damn it. Oh my god. I will make you in Soul Calibur 3.
And beat the shit out of you.
God damn.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, this is so unhinged, brother. This is so unhinged. What's up, legit? Oh my god.
Oh, Oh, my fucking stomach hurts.
This is literally if I was 12 years old and at my fucking worst. Like, this would be my fucking villain arc, bro.
This dude's fucking 26 at this point, I think.
Oh my god.
The perfect image on screen is on screen as well.
Apparently, bro is not a fan of Futanari.
She does not have a pickle. If you draw her with a pickle again, I will make you in Soul Calibur 3 and beat you up. Well, please do that. I would like to see it. It would be hilarious.
My
drawing of Roshu holding a pickle, this time literally and not figuratively. This trolling conflagration hit its peak when an article about Chris went up on Encyclopedia Dramatica. After being informed about it by two people who seemed to genuinely care, Chris claimed that the article caused him to have the worst weekend of his life, saying a hacking terrorist group, Anonymous, and 4chan are somehow involved in that page. When the article itself mostly went over the things we've already covered, it did so in the typical ED fashion,
to be fair,
rife with
4chan
insulting
probably
expletives
was
directed
involved
at
in
Chris
some
and his
way.
creations. Along with it came a few people trolling on his email, but no one really got to him besides Evan, probably because Chris's attention was directed elsewhere. All of this obviously upset him, and a couple of days later, he expressed his disapproval of the ED page in an uncharacteristically polite and genuine way that it's hard not to sympathize with him. In the video titled Chris Chan's Public Announcement, he simply asked that the page be rewritten in a more favorable light, suggesting edits such as including his family history. According to his headcanon, he was a descendant of Anne Boleyn on his mother's part, despite the fact that Anne Boleyn never had any children. Additionally, he claims to be a 16th Cherokee through his father, saying, "We're a respected tribe." After apologizing for anything he could have possibly done that wasn't nice, he asked that the page be taken down. Much later, Chris relayed on emails that during this time, he and his mother were badgering the management of the game place for CCTV footage to try and figure out who took that picture of him that was featured on the ED article, which they deduced must be the same person who wrote it. However, they stopped once the owner of the place threatened to ban him for a month. It's really funny how Chris isn't afraid of being arrested by actual cops like he was at Target, but if someone merely suggests taking away his ability to play Pokemon cards with preteens for a single month, he folds just like that. On November 10th, an image of Goatsy was added to the article's gallery of images above the caption, "The brains behind Chris Chan," and this was the straw that broke the camel's back. That set him off to make an account and try to edit it into a positive light himself. Emphasis on the word try because it seems not even Christian is capable of making himself look better. He removes Goatsy along with words like retarded and scary because he doesn't like them. In the section about Evan's trolling, he replaces the phrase masturbation and squirtin' with just masturbate, and added a couple of notes that said, "Every person is doing it," and relief, with a smiley face next to it. In an attempt to defend himself from the accusations that he was racist, Chris edited in the following section. He's also old-fashioned in his idea of a sweetheart. She is not black. He is cool with adoption, but his dream of his future daughter calls for blood, tears, and sentinel descent. His verbal acumen never ceases to amaze me. In regards to the mockery of his attraction sign, he put in the only reasonable and inexpensive idea he could ever fucking think of. There was also some clarification about the medallion, which people were speculating was made of clay, but Chris specifically said it was made of Crayola model magic. This was just the first day's worth of edits. It was a day later on November 12th
That's not real clay.
Most notable edits, such as commenting on his Officer Nasty doll, saying, "Nah, it's just my artificial woman in her plastic blue outfit. Awesome to fuck, and the cleaning maintenance is simple. She'll only last until she has her internal injury." Among these discretionary, even humorous additions, he also makes possibly one of the worst mistakes of his life. For absolutely no comprehensible reason, he makes multiple additions to the gallery, all consisting of hand-drawn Sonichu hentai, with the exception of two images. The first is titled MaryWantsIt.jpg, a nude Mary Walsh on her evil throne, beckoning with her finger and saying, "Come and lick my pussy, my jerk-off slave." What the fuck? If you can believe it, that wasn't what got him in trouble. But the next image, the infamous Shame Came for Quickie.jpg, which featured Chris with a smirk, fingering a naked female with one hand and doing a thumbs up in the other, captioned with, "Your sister has come for me." Though obviously I can't show the whole image, people have done some anatomical analysis on it in order to understand the inner workings of Chris Chan's creative mind. People began wondering what Chris meant with the caption, because usually when doing trash talk, the target tends to be people's mom, not their sister. Discussions ensued as to what this actually meant to Chris, with some even thinking that the girl in the drawing was Crystal, his imaginary sister/daughter/girlfriend. Little did they know that Chris, at least at the time he wrote the caption, believed John, Megan's brother, was the mastermind behind the trolling, and the caption was meant for him. The girl in the drawing was Megan, but no one knew this other than Chris. The rest of that year's edits of the ED page were uneventful back and forth between Chris and the site's moderation. Over in Chris's emails on December 30th, he wrote and sent a poem that's quite the mouthful to say the least. "For my true love, I'd treat her tenderly, sweetly, gently, like a summer breeze. I'd caress her skin gently with my strong fingers. I'd take her to eat and provide for her to my ability. I'd start small at McDonald's, then let it get better in due time. When the mood is right, I'd whisk her in my arms and lift her up in sweet gentleness. If she was willing to allow the pleasure, I'd lay her down, caress her gently, tickle her fancy, have her tickle my fancy and give it to her with the learned, lonely experience I've endured. I have no idea how Chris's post-McDonald's erotica is more articulate than the writing of Sonichu. It's insane to think he thought this would be romantic for a woman to read. By the way, he didn't send this directly to Megan, but to a mutual acquaintance of theirs who presumably read it before passing it on to Megan. It's unknown if it actually got to her, as there's no email of hers acknowledging any of the stuff said in the poem. For the first 2 months of 2008, there was a great quiet before the storm. That is, besides Chris getting some anal beads that came with another one of his purchases, and Megan briefly living under the same roof as him due to her having issues with her family. Given his reputation for touchiness, I'm sure she tried to keep her time there as short as possible. Their uneasy, but not quite all negative relationship survived until early March, when Megan emailed Chris thanking him for a trade and consoling him over being banned from his local church, which later we find out happened because the pastor found out about his ED page. The tune suddenly changes to a very different one come the 12th, when Chris emails her profusely apologizing, saying he was caught up in the rage when he did that, followed by a string of, "Megan, I'm sorry for hurting you." It's worth noting he doesn't specify what he's apologizing for exactly.
Sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry for hurting you.
Chris was trying to pretend that the girl in the drawing wasn't Megan, but Crystal, as the trolls had supposed. At the time of sending this email, he hadn't quite let go of that lie, hence the vague language he uses. He also promises to take the ED page down, or his name isn't Christian Weston Chandler, which is interesting considering it used to be Christopher and eventually would become Christine, but that's for later. The next day, he emails her again with some quote-unquote detective work on this 4chan fella that's been ruining his life. In this one, he does specify that he was the one that made the drawing, giving up trying to dodge that particular bullet. On the same day, Megan replied saying, "I just don't know what to say now. I'm very much scared by that image and it will never leave me. And I can't decide what's worse, the image in general, or the fact you intentionally drew it and gave it to the webmaster for that site that you hate so much. Not only have you poured gas on the fire by doing that, adding obscenities to the already horrific site, but you've also embarrassed and humiliated me and degraded and demeaned me, whether you realize it or not. I mean, I'm not that kind of girl, and you know what? So why? And you also lied to me about it. So I'm unsure what to do about this. I can't say I really think of you the same way anymore. I'm sorry to say. I will continue to give the remaining items for the Zune, and that will be all the contact you will have with me unless I decide otherwise. I hope you understand. So we'll let time decide how I feel about this current situation. Until then, please don't come up to me anymore unless it's to give you what I owe, which seems kind of awkward now. I know how it feels to be alone, but I can't keep throwing away my pride little by little just to keep you satisfied. You know what I mean? There has to be an enough is enough at some point, and I cannot continue to disgrace myself by forgiving things that I never find forgivable in the first place. I'd like for you to just completely leave me alone for a while until I can sort things out myself. You understand? It's not like I hate you, but I don't see you in the same light anymore. So just leave me be for a while. Let me try to recuperate with my few other friends, and maybe we can just start from scratch sometime. Despite this message having a much more final perspective on Chris and Megan's relationship,
this lady is
some unexplained.
There's either some bombshell where she's actually incredibly malicious, or she's way too forgiving.
She's a goddamn saint is what she is, bro.
She is way too forgiving of this actual demon inhabiting her life.
Absolutely. Like, she is literally trying to give him every benefit of the doubt and just getting screwed over left and right for it and being like, that's okay. I still forgive you. Please change. Like, she wants the best for him. I can tell. I can fucking tell. Again, this lady is a goddamn saint.
I hope she's doing well now. I really do.
Same.
For the sake of all of us, for the sake of the collective of the soul, for every person on Earth, I hope she's doing better.
Fucking shit. Turns out she ended up eating a shotgun. Well, damn.
Well, I mean, she doesn't have to deal with him anymore.
Reason she still leaves a window open for possible reconciliation in the future. Chris, in his all-enduring grace, sees this charitable reluctance to completely cut ties with him as an opportunity to cork out the gnarliest, gigantic turd on it. Here's what he replied with. I understand. You may or may not have had much exposure to sexual images as I've had, so the idea of a hand job, which was the act drawn here, as a part of outer course versus intercourse was a surprise to you.
We don't need to know what a fucking hand job is,
I can recommend
Chris.
finding information on the internet through this educational website I found through adameve.com, or I recommend renting the 40-year-old
Adam Eve, are you serious? Are you fucking serious?
The 40-year-old virgin.
Who hasn't had the pleasure yet, or I can loan you my copy of the 40-year-old virgin. The point is allowing yourself more exposure to sex acts to make yourself more comfortable with that fact.
Welcome,
of life.
Pat.
While I am on the verge of taking that Encyclopedia Dramatica page,
you might want to ungrease your fingers.
There are a number of other web pages of hate against me, and as much as I would like to be able to track down everyone and report them and get on the verge of taking them down as well, someone else may put up another hate page up against me. It's a fact of this modern world known as cyberbullying. As for the drawings, while I have shoved the text information down their throat in an attempt to drown them into submission, there were too many images of penises. Yetch on there. I drew drawings promoting to go against those dickheads. I did the drawing of Sonichu fucking Rosachu. I did the drawing of Bubbles getting it from Black Sonichu. I had the idea of pairing them up in the comic book anyway. I did the drawings of Angelica and Mary Lee Walsh.
It's not like Blackachu or anything like that. It couldn't be a clever pun. It was literally just Black
Sonichu. Blackachu sounds too much, but the reason I paused was to highlight Lou's chat there. Hand jobbing. You don't remember that, do you? It was from a Jackbox stream we did, and you were like, hand job.
I couldn't.
That
I
witch hag
couldn't make it
debating.
out to
And
the
I did draw the
laughing.
drawings of
What'd
me
you
giving you a
say?
hand job.
I just yelled. You said hand jobby,
Oh, absolutely.
and I did draw the drawing of me giving you a hand job from among my adult
fantasies, with your eyes censored to conceal your identity. It was a massive step outside of my boundaries, and I did it out of anger, and I regret having done it. And I'm really, really sorry. But we all do things in the heat of anger and or out of our boundaries that we end up regretting later.
All right,
No
wait,
accountability
all right,
whatsoever,
pause,
with the cherry on top being Chris implying the only
pause. He literally just said, too, no accountability out of anywhere. Every time he's the victim, it's everybody else's fault. But whenever he's the perpetrator and gets called out for it by somebody, he simps over. He says, all right, you're right, I fucked up, but it's not my fault. I'm not that bad, I promise, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, so what is it, bro? It's not a two-way fucking street here.
This person isn't human. Like, this is not how humans behave. This is some mimic that took over the body of the original Christopher Chandler when he was like 6 years old.
Bro, we're literally looking at this screenshot of him, and it looks more robotic than fucking Mark Zuckerberg.
only reason she got upset was because she wasn't as sexually mature as him. To make matters worse, a couple of days later, after getting no reply from her for entirely justifiable reasons, he emails her again asking for her to help him out with the ED page. He also mentions he's been trying to remove or work around mentions of her in the article, and his genius way of doing that is concealing her face by zooming into her vagina in the drawing. This once again sparked Megan's ire, who replied, "Look, my main issue is not the website itself, it's just the fact that you drew those weird pictures. Instead of removing that one completely, you just enlarged my crotch. Thanks a lot. Why didn't you just remove it? I don't care how lonely you are. I haven't had luck with relationships either, but I don't boast about being a virgin with rage. When you say things like that, it just makes you sound like you're looking for someone to fuck. P.S. I think it's rather amusing how you complain of these people defiling you. Yes, many posts are ridiculous, but you have defiled Mary Lee Walsh and our wonderful security officers who were simply doing their job. Then you defiled me and lied about it. You need to stop with this mindset that the whole world's against you and start taking some responsibility for once. Example, it's wrong to hate these people when you broke the rule by soliciting/loitering. Hey, at least they're doing their job and I support that. In many instances during the general story, there are moments where we can sympathize with Chris, but this certainly is not one of them. He continues to email her, blaming everything on ED and claiming he's the resistance against the alien dominators, whatever that means. Worst of all, he begins defending his drawing.
Me too. I was waiting for that to come up.
As for the drawing itself, I've realized that it was done not only out of inspired fantasy, angst against ED, and love for you, but also a major release for my crazy mixed up hormones. If I didn't have the foresight to put my pent up frustrations and feelings in the form of something, I might have become an abusive maniac. So thank God for allowing me to release my bottled up frustrations in a more positive yet not so politically correct and not physically hurting others method. So not only is he blameless for the actual drawing, it's actually a good thing he did and should be thanking him for, because if it weren't for She Came for Quickie, he might have raped her or something. I don't know exactly what's being implied. What a thing to admit to a girl you're in love with. That's it. That's it.
That's not something you say to somebody. Ever. Ever.
And we haven't even gotten to his mom yet.
We're not even halfway through it, buddy.
Way more than she is to get her to pity him, which does not work as intended. I can't stress enough how disrespectful it is that he keeps acting like it's somehow ED's fault he drew part of his friend. If that wasn't bad enough, his next email was him complaining to her that she brought the page up again, describing the drawing as a little dirty detail they should both forget about, and that in giving it so much attention, she made his month stressful. He also reiterated his lack of regret for drawing the image, just in case it was understated in the previous one. Completely unaware of how deranged he sounds, he closes it off with the following statement.
Steven
Although
Universe!
I do understand your feelings, and I can only respect your wish of staying away from you, sob, my heart still cries for you. I'll always be worrying about you, and I will always love you, Megan Schroeder. In order to display how contrite he is, he edits ED once again, creating a gallery of images called You Know What? I Hate Me Too, consisting exclusively of drawings from Sonichu wherein Chris was being beat up or hurt in some way. This was not an effective strategy, as a month later, Chris and Megan shared their last email correspondence, with Megan saying she wasn't interested in any more gifts from Chris. And just like that, Chris's most worthwhile acquaintance is
You ain't wrong, Zach. You'll definitely get a reaction.
And putting it up online. After being baptized in the month of May, Chris earns himself a permanent ban from the game place for reasons such as scaring the kids he played card games with, taking his consoles with him into the store and hogging the TV with them, singing Britney Spears during games, among other things. He tried to apologize and appeal the ban along with his parents to no avail, as the manager of the game place, Mike, would just call the cops on them. Much later, he had this to say about Mike. He's hated my guts after multiple times borrowing the store's HD TV for console gameplay, and in subtle retaliation,
don't go to a game store and play your fucking console, retard.
Mary Lee Walsh. I tried to protect myself when he found it weeks later after having wrote it. I even convinced myself that the F meant fiddlesticks. It originally meant fuck. That was why the son of a bitch kicked me out of
What?
the game place permanently.
What?
After years of loyal volunteer service in the Pokemon TCG League, I had apologized numerously before, but he's still the pig-headed, stubborn he was back then. Out of all of the isms Chris had expressed up until that point, a dislike of the Jewish people was certainly a new one. With both Megan and the game place now gone from his life, he was in the darkest place he'd
First
ever
the
been.
gays,
Without
then
any
the
place to
blacks,
escape
and
to
now
no
the
one to vent to anymore,
Jews.
Chris takes to YouTube to
The
confront
goddamn
Encyclopedia
Jews.
Dramatica and its surrounding community over the article on him, blaming them for his fallout with Megan, all the while very explicitly publicizing that the girl in the drawing he made was her, which most of the time did not know. The video was titled Quickie's Second Message, and it was a certified golden age of YouTube classic. In it, Chris coins terms like pedophorks when trying to defend himself from pedophile accusations, as well as proclaiming his love for China, not the country, but his stilted way of saying vagina. Conclusively, he threatens to never release the 7th
I
issue
love
of Sonic
China.
The page wasn't promptly taken
You
down.
gotta
China.
A while later,
China.
Chris would post another video requesting that people send hate
China.
mail to the creator of the page, Jason, closing the video
Attention
with the
all
iconic line,
Sonichu
As
fans.
sure as I am to get at least 1 ounce of vagina, I have your number, and you're going down.
I should mention that for the duration of both of these videos, Chris always held a PS3 controller as he spoke as if it were some kind of regal staff. Through the rest of the month, Chris made and uploaded more videos in the same vein, dictating commands to an imaginary community of loyal followers, telling them the latest Sonichu news and teasing the new issue. In the middle of August, a now octogenarian Bob would make an extremely depressing addition to his letter to future Chris, saying, "Dear Christian, at this time in life, you and Sonichu need a quest and purpose in life. Let Sonichu become a
Don't add
champion for autistic
Sonichu.
persons everywhere, and continually defeat the perils of autism. Sonichu could become the spokesperson for autistic persons with an ongoing
Please,
fight for them
no.
in chapter after chapter, or good deeds on the internet. He could become the spokesperson from now on. You and Sonichu could become famous worldwide."
Oh,
Jesus,
they
I forgot
have.
how
He's not
stupid
wrong.
this story is. In a few ways, Bob was right.
No,
and Chris will
hold
become
up,
famous
hold up,
worldwide.
hold up. So there's actually a really good message behind that, man. That's kind of fucking heartbreaking for his dad to make that addendum.
It's extremely heartbreaking, but at this point it should have seemed like he was a lost cause.
But I mean, that's your kid, bro. Would you do the same to yours?
To be fair, he probably didn't know about all the sex stuff.
He did, because that's why he brought up the whole Sonichu shit. He said, stop doing that. And if you really want to fucking claim how badly you're treated because you're autistic, fucking use it as a goddamn, as an example. Right? Use it for positive. Instead of just being fucking perverted and dirty and gross, use it for a good thing.
Well, in his eyes, he's doing the best thing he possibly can, at least for himself.
And that's what his dad's telling him in this message here, is you're not doing that. You could be doing so much better. That's what's heartbreaking about this. Like, dad sees what's going on, recognizes it, and says, man, these are going to be my last words to you, dude.
Oof, Zach. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, not wrong. Not fucking wrong.
Wide, just not for being a good role model for autists. During the same period, Chris would establish contact with another girl through emails. Her name was Blanca, and she took the initiative in emailing him to show her OC character, Jiggly Amy, a hybrid between Jigglypuff and Amy from Sonic. Of course, they were lying and trolling, and of course, Chris fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And within a single day, he was telling her he was interested in a relationship. Not only that, but he also asked her opinions on pornography and asked her to get on webcam with him.
That's sad.
Mr. Chan was in quite the
That's
hurry.
sad.
After uploading even more images of Rosachu drawn naked to the ED article for no particular reason, he does the unthinkable and sends nudes to Blanca. For the sake of accuracy and journalistic integrity, I should make
Zach, before you got here, we did it in the video. Turkey Tom did go over how kind of shitty Barb, Chris's mom, was previously, at the very least.
Yep.
clear that this wasn't exactly Blanca he sent nudes to. It was someone unrelated to the three trolls behind the original Blanca identity who took it upon himself to pose as her and ask him for nudes, which Chris gracefully obliged. I should also specify that these aren't irregular nudes, but a close-up picture of Chris's penis with a Sonichu drawn on it, along with pictures of Chris wearing his mother's panties. Within a month of the nudes being successfully acquired, they went up on the ED page, much to Chris's despair, who preemptively emailed his church to notify them of it. Blanca's MySpace page would have its About Me section edited to say, "Hello, I am a large, hairy, homosexual black man in a pickle costume. You love me. Pay no mind to my profile pictures. This is the real me." The message is followed by a picture of a man in a pickle suit. In Chris's email to his church, he says he was deceived and that Blanca was a troll, but that was just posturing on his part, as he would hang on to the obviously non-existent Blanca for much longer after this incident, claiming she was real and exchanging emails with the other Blanca accounts. It's also during this roller coaster of a month that he briefly entertains the idea of a love triangle between him, Blanca, and another troll that claimed to be a Sarah Jackson. Unfortunately for Sarah, Chris picks Blanca, eventually drawing Sarah getting hit by a truck in one of the later issues of Sonichu. The fallout of the news being sent was still going strong, as a whole week later, all of Chris's accounts were hacked and everybody in his contacts list got a copy of the images. Meanwhile, Chris got himself involved in yet another conflict with a troll, this one called Jimmy Hill, who was claiming to be the original creator and IP holder of Sonichu. Speaking of Sonichu,
He literally looks like, what's his name? I think it's like Chris Feldspar or something like that. The fucking dude on Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Oh, I
god.
can't unsee it now.
That's literally who that looks like. Oh my god, and they're just as obsessive.
This one called Jimmy Hill, who was claiming to be the original creator and IP holder of Sonichu. Speaking of
Oh,
Sonichu,
this'll
around
be
the same
good.
time that the 7th edition of the comics were released online, Chris would announce that a video game was in the works. He announced it on his website,
Oh
saying,
boy!
with the Sonichu franchise growing wildly with lots of energetic hype, I'm ready to take
I
Sonichu
doubt
and my
it.
world of Quickieville back to Nintendo of America and Sega of America. And upon the unity in business between Nintendo, the company provided me with my second game system, the Game Boy, after my very first Commodore 64 computer, Sega, the company who introduced Sonic the Hedgehog, is not only my lifelong hero after the American Rabbit, but as the true role model icon.
He's serious too. He means it.
1991, and myself, Christian Weston Chandler, we will make Sonichu and Rosachu in their world being more real than I was able to make them by myself with pen and markers in hand, and a vastly knowledgeable imagination. You won't be able to truly say you've
no
caught them all
T.
until you've caught the original Sonichu and Rosachu and a quickie-approved Nintendo/Sega Pokemon Lightning version on GBA and DS to catch a great share of the other currently available 493 Pokemon. And I have the idea for the video game myself. If I can swing that with Sega as well, an epic tale of my tragic adult life straight from my tortured heart and soul, I will bring the pain to the jerk-offs. I will kick Mary Lee Walsh into her cauldron to burn, as well as the other villains.
He's still going after the dean of his fucking, or the superintendent, whichever it was, of his college years after he fucking graduated.
Everybody who's ever wronged him, I'll show you. I'll show you all.
As far as that lady was old as shit. As far as he knows, she's already dead at this point.
And I will have support from my electric hedgehogs, my mother and father, my closest gal pals who I've grown to love, Megan Schroeder and Anna McLaren, to name a few. Sparingly,
one of those isn't even
I plan to
real.
have this game alone go multi-console between Nintendo Wii, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 3 with downloadable content. And all this can come to fruition with your help, the populace of Sonichu, Rosachu, and Christian Chandler fans. All I ask for in minimum is to contact Nintendo of America and Sega of America by way of posting in their respective forums, sending them emails, and highly recommended handwritten letters to both companies that you want Sonichu.
Well, hot damn, let's go, boys. Let's go.
We're getting this game made, fellas.
Both companies have my information
Sonichu for life.
as I've written to them a number of times in my life. In the wake of this catastrophe, a brief opportunity to find solace presented itself to Chris. First, his church got him in contact with a counselor, a particularly patient woman called Rocky, who began accompanying him from a distance through his misadventures, for whatever that was worth. But that wasn't all. Someone had been emailing Chris for a while now, a girl named Vivian Gee. Despite being a girl, Chris never gave her his usual CWC treatment for a combination of reasons. She never sent pictures or indulged in his delusions about Sonichu. As a matter of fact, she was the one person who was always consistently realistic and bluntly honest about Chris's situation, which scared him off like the plague, since he only wanted enablers.
Sounds like the female version of me.
While initially acting similar to the other trolls, this quickly gave way to a much more sincere and concerned
Chris Chan's
attitude
a woman
Chris.
now. You could always get involved.
With the Sonichu comics and held them in a kind of fascination, even making audiobook renditions of every single one of them. In a strange way, during this period, Vivian was one of Chris's only friends, if you could call her that. On the day the news were leaked, she emailed him trying to snap him out of his delusions. I don't know where to begin. I'm not even sure why I'm sending this to you. Listen to me. Listen. No one gives two shit. Your pictures are now all on the internet for everyone to see. Tons of celebrities have nudes and they don't care. They are way more popular than you'll ever be, so don't get your fucking panties in a bunch. There are no fans of Sonichu. Sonichu is a bastardization of properties that belong to other people. Your entire comic is pretty much a bastardization of your life. Sonichu will never get anywhere. Quit your dreams of Sonichu, the game, the comic merchandise, everything now. And if you still feel you need to be creative or whatever bullshit you say, make something completely original. Don't base it off your life. Don't base it off stuff that exists. Just make something completely new. If you quit Sonichu and start working on your real life harder, I'm sure you'll find success. If you stay in your deluded fantasy land, I don't know what you'll become. You have never tried when it comes to women. Never. You can't just sit around and wait for it to happen. You have to make it happen. If you can't muster up the courage to do that, then you will never get a wife, let alone a girlfriend. There are places where single men and women go to. I'll let you find them on your own in your area. Take off that medallion. I can't stress this enough. If you do, it will signify your detachment from Sonichu and a brighter future. Forget about all those haters. They don't hate you. They're trolling you. They want to see you become this way. Don't you understand there's no reason for you to get upset at them? That's what they want. If they see you upset, defeated, angry, you're just giving them victory. Your latest comics as a retaliation is a result of that, and they love it. They don't view it as an attack. They view it as a victory. If you feel you can't do any of this, get a therapist. Get a real one. Ask your parents to send you to one. Do something about your life instead of bitch and draw comics about it. Chris, you've got a way to fall, but you can change that. This didn't even get a reply from Chris.
Very bad.
That's the one attempt to help him this was. Later on in the month, Chris goes back and forth between dating Blanca and a new troll account called Panda, and more images come out. This time of Chris making sweet love to his Officer Nasty doll. A Skype conversation of his with Panda where they discuss sex was also leaked at this time. From it, we can glean that Chris believes that men have a limited amount of semen, which Chris refers to as comeuppance, the same way women have a limited amount of eggs. At this point, Chris was well aware that everything he told anyone always ended up on ED, but since he wanted to keep lying to himself or pretending Blanca and Panda were real girls and not trolls, he started pretending everything was due to him being hacked. Early on in October, the trolls got him to mail her a Sonichu medallion along with a heartfelt letter. After receiving the package on October 9th, it was instantly leaked online, prompting Chris to make a video doing damage control, saying that Blanca wasn't the one behind this, but random trolls that lived in her area and intercepted the package. He also lied about having
that's
gotten
what
the medallion
happened.
back to make himself look like less of a loser. This lie is dispelled on October 20th when a video is uploaded of the trolls cutting the medallion up, putting it in a pickle jar, beating it with a hammer, and finally burning it all together. A day later, Blanca broke up with Chris, supposedly over the photo of him wearing his mom's underwear. That
Here we go!
The same day, he
No,
released
not
an update
yet.
declaration
We
that
have
he has
more.
reached his lowest low. A few days later, he was pushing
You
to do
saw
a Q&A
that,
with
right?
people from his
I saw
IRC
it.
chat in an attempt to get him in better spirits, though this wasn't very effective. After years of claiming to be lonely, depressed, upset, and a heap of other negative emotions, this is the first time Chris
That was the
genuinely seemed
start of it,
completely
bro.
despondent, without the motivation to keep up his regular spiel. The only mention-worthy thing from the Q&A is that he pretends he's met a girl in real life, claiming he's kissed her and lost his virginity to her. He quickly forgot he told this lie and resumed his lamentations over the loss of Blanca, while Vivian Guy was still trying in vain to prove
Didn't
to him
take
that she
long.
wasn't another troll. The next 2 months are notably uneventful compared to the rest of the year. Other than a few Q&As in his IRC chat and some conversations with Panda, right near the year's end, we have the founding of 2 online forums, the Sonichu Girls Fan Club and Gays for Sonichu. It would still be a while before we said anything about the latter, but just as our Sonichu Girls popped up, Chris was already posting on himself, introducing himself, and once again, reigniting his sweetheart search. His introductory post read, "Yes, it's your man of the way more than an hour. I've read my accent/voice was a favorited feature. Blush. I've rarely thought my voice was that alluring, although in my honest opinion, it sounds like a direct match to Sonic the Hedgehog. Anywhere from the classic and Sonic X shows and all games starting from Sonic Adventure, and when singing, I can have a Frank Sinatra or Bing Crosby flavor." Yeah, honestly, I honestly don't even disagree. Honestly, I don't know why I'm still single either. Even my own mother finds me handsome. Oh, no. Aside from the understood facts, I feel that I'm truly in touch with my feminine side, to the point where I am capable of learning from that to better understand how to treat women in a caring, nurturing, positive way. Sometimes I wonder, between my caring attitude and the lack of a sweetheart, if I was born the wrong gender. I would wonder what life would have been like if I had actually been born a girl. But afterwards, I realized that I should still appreciate being
I
born a
told
boy.
you
to
it was
gentleman.
coming up
God
as
gave
soon
me the
as I
package, and
seen
signed
that
for it.
dress,
And while it is
dude.
true, and I am not ashamed to admit it, that I've seen my fair share of I have learned how to better positively treat a woman before, during and after the act. I would definitely stay until she
I don't
I would
believe
call her back
you.
later to see how her day was. And I would have put the seat up, then back down when I used the restroom she would use later.
Oh,
I care more about
oh,
everyone's
man.
feelings and opinions over their body. On the flip side, I feel discomfort around men because they can be such mean and cruel jerks. I should go on with what I detest about them,
You
but I will
need
not
more.
stoop to their level of
You need
cruelty.
more
Also, I
meanness
feel
and
discomfort when
cruelty in
shopping
your
for
life,
underwear
you
for
fucking
myself. I do
degenerate.
not need models pictured on the package. It grosses me out to see that thing. It's bad enough that I sometimes see my own when I look down, of which I don't feel as much discomfort, but the very sight of others is like kryptonite to me. It makes me feel like throwing up, even when the image randomly pops up in my head. The amount of foreshadowing is tremendous, but the
What?
Why are random images of penises popping up in your head?
He can't help it. He can't help it, bro. It just all these things about his dicks, man.
He can't
It's
stop
all
thinking
dicks.
about dicks.
It's my favorite cereal. Oops, all dicks.
lack of self-awareness manages to be even more fantastic. He genuinely believes that the Sonichu Girls forum
He's
popped up
rubbing his
organically, and beyond
nipples!
that there's a worldwide fan base out there
No!
somewhere. At this point,
Please,
Chris Chan's
no!
popularity had significantly died down, and with it, a lot more disorganized trolls appeared. The only people left behind were stragglers interested in where this story would go next, and dedicated trolls who saw Chris's full potential and weren't keen on letting him slip away anytime soon. 2009 held exponentially worse things for Chris. The year started out slow,
Good.
with Chris doing very little besides continuing his work on new Sonichu episodes and his correspondence with the Sonichu Girls.
This
on
is
IRC, which in
2009.
reality consisted of multiple male
This
trolls
video came out in
actively participating
2023.
in groups sexting a severely autistic
still
man in
got
his late
15
20s.
years to
Honestly,
go.
the lengths
15
people will go
years
to
to
do it
go.
for the Vine are astounding, and sometimes funny, and sometimes pathetic. On the 5th of January, Chris is contacted via emails by none other than Shigeru Miyamoto, the game director behind most of Nintendo's biggest franchises. The troll behind this particular interaction was Clyde Cash, who later became the central troll in the Quickie saga, at least for a period. Chris fell for the Shigeru bit, especially since a few days prior to this email, Clyde was already preparing the groundwork for it, emailing Chris as Takashi Tezuka, the general producer for Animal Crossing, acting as if he wanted to feature Sonichu in the next game. The day after the Shigeru email, Chris was already announcing that Sonichu and Rosashu would be in Animal Crossing. Clyde was multitasking the trolling of Chris, simultaneously posing as multiple different characters. After establishing the connection with Nintendo, he began emailing Chris as Greg Mays, posing as another Nintendo employee that was in charge of updating the Sonichu website with an appropriate redesign to market Sonichu for Animal Crossing. By doing this, he finessed the admin password for Chris's site, promptly logged into it, changed the password, and locked Chris out.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Sonichu fan base, unfortunately, due to a troll having found access to the database behind Sonichu.net, it is temporarily shut down.
Hey, welcome,
and,
Derek.
I
Welcome
cannot
to the
change
fucking
password at the
shit
moment.
show.
Greg Mays, if you do not re-upload Sonichu.net back to the way it was before you even started, I will come down at you. And my lawyer man from Nintendo, Jay-Z, he gonna come down with his boys from Nintendo and the boys from
Jay-Z?
Sega. They gonna track you down.
His next email to Chris read as follows. It is I, Jason Hendrick Howell. If you ever want to see your beloved site restored, you must meet my demands. If you ever wish for me to hand over your beloved website, you must announce your homosexuality to YouTube. You must not reveal that I told you to do this. Otherwise, you will never see your site restored. You must detail how you've been kept in the closet for so long, your search for a sweetheart as a cover-up, and why Sonichu is so gay. You must be angry. Of course, you can always make a video proclaiming how straight you are. Either choice, gay or straight, which will it be? Chris quickly obliged.
I, Christopher Chandler, am straight. Don't you forget it.
But this didn't
What
satisfy
were you
Clyde's
showing
demands for a longer
us?
video, wherein he explained why he was straight and totally not gay. Chris once again obliged.
So I tell you for sure and for true that I am straight. I can tell you why from my lifetime stories, but I'll tell it to you in just a few short minutes. Anyway, right. So, Christian Weston Chandler, I am straight.
Straight gay.
After this, Clyde's next request is for Chris to upload a short video where he and his parents go over his accomplishments in life. That video would never be made. Instead, Chris's next upload was him denouncing the ED page and 4chan once again, though what led him to rekindle this beef is unknown. This lack of compliance with Clyde led to the site being hacked once again, and in email, he admits to Chris he isn't Jason Howell, the creator of the ED page. Chris doesn't even quite absorb this information, replying with threats instead about involving the police in the situation and praying to God and Jesus for Clyde's death, while Chris continues to refer to him as Jason. This led into a voicemail Chris left for the real Jason, who had no idea what was going on or why he was receiving it.
First saved message. Jason Kendrick Howe, you bastard!
You bastard!
You bastard!
Bastardo!
This would do nothing to stop all of Sonichu's web presence, along with Chris's personal accounts,
Unfortunately.
being constantly hacked and vandalized in all sorts of ways. Because of this, he ceased communications with the Sonichu girls, unknowingly ending their cryptic troll campaign. However, he only did this after sending all of them locks of his hair in plastic packets, along with certificates of authenticity. You know, just in case someone tries to make fake quickie hair packets to sell on eBay. He had to make sure people knew these were the real deal. In the meantime, over at the Shigeru email situation, because of all the hackings, Chris's identity came into question, and to prove that it was actually him and not a troll, he made a video addressing Miyamoto and showing his driver's license on camera. Chris also made another update to declare that he continues to be straight as an arrow, despite what his more recent outgoing emails may claim. In order to prove
I've
his
seen
straightness,
some
he claims
bent
to have a
arrows in
subscription
my
to
day.
Playboy and stomps on the dildo he got from Adam and Eve. A couple of days later, in his IRC chat, when Clyde accuses him of wearing women's underwear, which
Ah! Ah!
I told you.
The horror!
We broke the precipice.
Oh, I don't know if we have. I don't know if we have. That's the worst part.
No, it's not the worst part. The worst is to quote what was it, Kimberly Guilfoyle or what's fucking Don Jr.'s fucking wife's name? I think
I
they're
don't know.
divorced now, but not Kimberly Guilfoyle. But the worst is yet to come.
Do not come. Do not come.
Don't do it,
Chris
brother.
did do at
Don't
least
do
once.
it.
Chris inexplicably decides to reveal the fact that he has, and I quote, numbers of pairs of dirty, crapped briefs. Amidst his claims to loathe penises and
Wonderful.
love boobs and vaginas, Chris also claims that at those times it mostly slipped out without my knowledge, in reference to his bowel movements. During this time,
Great.
Chris hardly did anything besides staying in those IRC chats, interacting almost exclusively with trolls to a masochistic degree. Though a lot of it isn't worth getting into, as it's mostly just Chris voluntarily exposing himself to verbal abuse. At one point, Clyde and Panda, Chris's quote-unquote girlfriend at the time, cooperate to say that Clyde has raped Panda and that she's expecting a child. I would say that's cruel if Chris hadn't flat out ignored multiple people that told him Panda was a malicious troll.
You know why I
because he'd
paused
rather
there,
believe he had
Derek.
a
I want you all to
girlfriend. If their
suffer.
objective was to freak Chris out, they didn't quite accomplish the goal because he reacted nonchalantly, even suggesting she should move in with Clyde since the child was going to need a father, going as far as to say Clyde had proven himself to be a good man after repenting for hacking the Sonichu site and being willing to let Panda and the child move into his house. I can barely believe the words coming out of my mouth right now. For the majority of January, Chris fluctuated between wholeheartedly believing that Nintendo representatives were in direct contact with him and trying to set up a meeting, and being dubious of the whole thing and just admitting that the emails were once again the work of trolls. On the 22nd, Chris claimed to leave Washington for the meeting, and after that, he spent a few days offline, which caused people to wonder if he managed to convince his parents to let him go there. 5 days later, he came back with another upload talking about how he spent the past 2 days with Shigeru Miyamoto, which confirmed that Chris had just been lying. Soon after, he admits to Clyde over emails that this video was a lie, and later on, makes this same admission publicly in a new video. In it, he blames the deal falling apart on Reggie Fils-Aimé having an issue with a panty shot in Chris's PowerPoint presentation he made to pitch Sonichu, even
Yeah,
implying that
that's
this
a
meant
bit of an
Reggie was
issue.
in some way opposed to heterosexuality. He also makes several references to seeing them in court, as if if that was a remote possibility, though it was probably Chris's wishful thinking at work, trying to make himself seem important enough to warrant lawsuits from the top brass at Nintendo. A day later, Chris took the video down, retracting his statements and apologizing for this behavior, which I can only assume was some attempt to get back on Reggie and Shigeru's good graces. In a recorded conversation Chris had the same day, he mentions he often ponders what his life would look like if he was born a woman, saying that it would at least be better than his life was right now. It's during this time that another troll enters the fold, Blue Spike, a 13-year-old boy who used his high-pitched voice to pretend he was a girl called Julie. And this is possibly the most disturbing and horrible chapter of Christery, at least early on.
Wonderful. Oh, at least early on. Okay.
Admitting he was gay, which is relatively harmless. Blue Spike went much further. Initially, the Julie LARP consisted of nothing but acting as a potential sweetheart. By the 13th of February, an audio would surface of Chris and Julie having what can only be described as furry phone sex, where Chris is Sonichu and Julie is a cat. I won't play the audio to spare you the psychological scarring that inevitably comes from it, but as Sonichu, Chris electrocutes Julie's genitals, seems to have a lactation fetish, and can be heard manipulating a plastic cup at the end of this hellish event. What's the plastic cup for, you might ask? Well, later on, Chris explains quite explicitly. I don't like to make a mess, so when I come, I have a clean plastic cup by my side, and I just make sure to put all of my semen in the cup there. After recycle, I rinse the cup and dispose of it. I recycle my own semen because, yes, I do masturbate. I'm not ashamed to admit it, as a lot of guys, I'm sure, have done the same thing in their time. Anyway, I recycle it, so that way I won't lose any unborn children. Then I can still have a good number of good semen count.
What do you mean you recycle
it? Though personally, I've been getting sick of swallowing my own, so lately I've been disposing of them.
Bro.
What have I done to deserve this?
You started this, sir. You started this.
What has any person on Earth done to deserve this?
I don't know, but you decided to do it. You were the decider. This is your fault. This is your fault, sir.
It recycles his cup.
Zach nailed it. Why did you hate us so? We did nothing to deserve this, Chad. I knew the second you said we're doing Chris Chan, I was going to hate every moment of my life. This was just going to be terrible. It was going to be fucking awful, and I'll just want to kill myself.
Most of it up until this point has just been cringe, though. This is more than cringe. This is unholy. It shouldn't exist on Earth.
We haven't even hit the worst part yet.
Where to
I want to
begin?
go home.
So Chris spends 20 minutes masturbating while in character as Sonichu, having phone sex with a 13-year-old boy pretending to be an adult woman, pretending to be a cat furry. Just a few days later, it happened again, and this time, Blue Spike would notify other trolls that he'd be engaging in cyber sex with Chris, and they took this opportunity to make 4 calls with Bob, asking about Chris to try and cause Bob to walk in on it.
What are you doing? Nothing. Give me that crap. Now, what's going on? Dad, will you get out of here? No, I will not. People tell me that you're about to kill yourself on YouTube. What? What are you doing? I'm not doing anything. I'm going to wake your mother up and find out? No. Well, then get out of here. I'll pay the internet. Fine. What is your trouble? I'm not going to kill myself. Get away from that TV. Fine. Get away from the internet. I'm cutting it down right now. No! Dad, no! Yes. No.
Yes!
What are you doing?
For the love of all people on the planet, yes.
Shut this thing right down. No. Yes. No. Dad, no. Stop. Go wake your mother up. Don't bother me. Okay? Go wake your mother up. Don't bother
me.
Go and wake your mother up. You tell them.
Go get.
This thing is going down. Yes.
While initially this wouldn't succeed, the trolls began claiming that Chris posted a YouTube video threatening to kill himself, which prompted Bob to run as fast as he could to where Chris was at, which was in the kitchen where the computer was. You can imagine how traumatic of a situation this was for all parties involved. Honestly, I understand that a lot of things that happened in the late 2000s and early 2010s only happened because the internet was a wildly different place, but this crosses multiple lines. Trolling Chris by telling him you're the original creator of Sonichu is one thing, but having cyber sex with someone as mentally debilitated as him borders on unspeakable. Besides, Blue Spike eventually said he was having phone sex with Chris pretty much every night. I mean, for what? What was the point in doing that exactly? And where were this kid's parents? How can you be motivated to do that at just 13 years old? And how could the other trolls be okay with this kid simultaneously subjecting himself and Chris to this hell? All of this is beyond unexplainable, and
I'm on board with it. I'm on board
managed
with
to spare himself from ever knowing
the
full extent of what
Xbox
was going on that night. Just when he walked in,
360
Chris instantly stopped what he was doing. Understandably, having his sleep disturbed, he was mad at Chris and delivered the line he's probably the most famous for, "Get away from the internet, I'm cutting it down right now," which earned him the nickname the Lumberjack. Days later, another audio of this same kind was leaked, all the while Blue Spike continued to share a Skype conversation with Chris and everyone else. On the 20th of February, the results of another of Blue Spike's Julie antics became public. As some kind of private tantalizing display for her, Chris...
I will not be wearing the same clothing as that animal.
He said, I'm gonna get naked first.
Just an excuse for me to take the vest off.
Made love to his body pillow of Kimmy, filmed it, and emailed it to her. The video is 8 minutes long and it's available on YouTube in audio format, though I doubt that anyone would be interested in suffering through it. It was originally uploaded to an adult website where it received over 3 million
Eater.
Time, there'll be nobody
views. That's no small feat, seeing as I have a hard time cracking that number myself. If only Chris had the mind to use his autistic superpowers for good. But the abject cruelty is not over yet. In order to cover up the obviously deliberate
thanks,
leaking of
Zach.
Chris's
There's video,
escape,
by the
Julie
way. He
claimed that the
mixes
leaker
it with
was her abusive
Fanta.
older brother Max. Immediately following this new development in the Julie canon, a new narrative was created. Max had kidnapped Julie and took her to the headquarters of the Miscreants, the name for the group of trolls that Blue Spike was a part of. What he was planning to do with her was not clear, but the conclusion was that in order to save her, Chris would have to drive to Cleveland, Ohio. This Herculean task was mostly discussed in his IRC chat with the trolls, though at this point the line was being blurred between trolls and people who interacted with Chris out of a genuine infatuation with him, even if coded in irony. While some people were all for pushing Chris to do this trip, whether because they thought it would amount to anything beyond an inconvenience for him, or that he wouldn't do it at all and just pretend he did, or other people were becoming a tad more hesitant about this particular mission. The drive to Ohio would be 7 hours long, as Chris had to drive 400 miles. This was a cause for concern since, as you might have noticed, Chris is severely autistic and not quite the street-smart survivalist. If he were to encounter some serious trouble along the way, he certainly would not be able to fend for himself like a normal person. Additionally, an interstate car trip on the highway is a very different beast than driving around your little hometown in your mom's car, which was the totality of Chris's driving experience according to Bob himself. Another person with whom Chris discussed the trip to Cleveland, Ohio, was the co-founder of Sonichu Girls, Sarah May. In this conversation, Chris says, "I've been planning my trip to go to Cleveland to meet and escort to Virginia, Julie. I received much support in the trip not only from my online fans, including yourself, but also from God, Jesus, and the spirits of my Aunt Corinna, as I touched her hand before they closed her casket. Even these spirits from my past Weston family members who were buried at the same church, including my grandparents and my great-grandparents. I'm using money I got on my birthday for the trip. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I have a road map for Eastern USA, directions to Julie, and from MapQuest. I have set aside 6 changes of work, and I'm not informing my mother and father until the last minute with a note and photocopy of my printed directions and a portion of my road map with the marked path. Confidentially, I have about $45 in my bank, 16 in my wallet, my phone will be fully charged, and I have a freshly filled tank of gas." On the morning of the 26th of February, precisely at 5:30, which is the exact hour that Chris was born, he left his Ruckersville home to head for Ohio, ignoring his parents' concern that this was some kind of elaborate troll or to catch a predator sting operation. Upon waking up and finding the note he left behind, Bob and Barb notified the police and filed a missing persons report in fear that he would get himself killed on the trip. The ride to Ohio would be mostly uneventful, and when he was crossing state lines to pass the toll booth, Chris managed to lock himself out of his own car. Luckily, someone else at the toll booth had AAA and called on them to help Chris get back in his car. In a fateful coincidence, his other stop on his way to saving Julie was to get a hamburger at a restaurant called Sonic. Eventually, he made it to the random address given as Max and Julie's residence, but all he found was a beat-up old house where an old black lady lived, with no sign of his sweetheart or her abusive brother. Fortunately, this trip was harmless for Chris, and after calling his parents, he headed back to Ruckersville, getting home at about 3 in the morning. Despite how much trouble he got in with his parents, who threatened to leave him homeless if he ever did anything like that again, and despite the money he wasted and the fact he was tricked into going there, Chris himself eventually came to hold quite the positive outlook on it, saying he enjoyed the sights as he drove. After a safe return, he had one last conversation with Blue Spike, where he relayed his story of the trip, while Blue Spike struggled to believe he actually went to Ohio. The conversation shows that Chris continued to be in the dark about Julie being completely fake, even after the trip. Promptly, March began with his left foot. Someone from ED produced postcards with frames from Chris's tape with Kimmy and sent them to Bob, who took away Chris's ability to make videos, which is quite fair and should have been done a long time before it came to this. Just 2 days after this, another absolute tragedy happens, also due to malevolent deeds of Blue Spike. On the 3rd of March, Chris gets in a call with Julie, Max, Clyde, and a few other people. The circumstance now was that Max had control over Chris's PSN account, his Yahoo email, and the login information of Sonichu and Rosachu.com. By threatening to sell his accounts on eBay and send Julie back to Europe, which is where she came from according to the lore, Max gets Chris to do his bidding. The particulars of this began mildly, having Chris declare Billy Mays, one of the other trolls, as the mayor of Quickville, and have himself imprisoned. However, things would go downhill in a way that every other troll didn't expect and weren't okay with. In the middle of this hour-long torture session,
Billy
Max
Mays here with another fantastic
or cut it up into pieces and introduce him into his butt. Throughout this entire ordeal, Blue Spike's psychopathic mean-spiritedness came off towards Chris as extremely off-putting, and the other trolls had intervened, telling him to stop what he was doing as it went way past any line imaginable. Blue Spike would follow it up with telling Chris to burn his house down, which Chris immediately resisted against, and the other people in the comments again intervened. After all of that, Julie finally made an appearance, only to start telling Chris that she had something to tell him. Chris went along with it, only for Blue Spike to finally finally make the long overdue reveal, stating that all of this time, Chris had been having phone sex with a 13-year-old boy. Chris reluctantly absorbed the information, while the now fully revealed Blue Spike accused him of being a pedophile, and that Chris Hansen would have him arrested. When Blue is about to start up another narrative about how Julie died in a wildfire, like many of Chris's other faux girlfriends, Clyde decides that enough is enough and chimes in an attempt to get Chris to understand what had just happened. He says, "Now you're going crazy, okay? We don't have to do the whole wildfire thing. Shut the hell up. Look, Chris, there are more things to life than your PS3 and whatever. Your whole internet life has been a lie. There are no Sonichu fans. Nobody gives two shits about you. The best thing you could do is go outside for the love of God,
Like
okay?
the person
Shut up,
being
Blue Spike.
nice
He's been
was
fooled
saying
so many
earlier.
times. What is this, the ninth time so far? You know how many people have told you this, that Blue Spike is a boy? I can't believe how many times. And you still believed. There are very few moments in Christery as grueling as this one. Thankfully, it seems Clyde's message got back to Chris, even if just a little bit. After being ill for a little while and asking for his fans to attack Blue Spike, Chris takes up contact with another girl named Emily, and on the 19th of March, he's chaperoned by his father for a date with Emily at the mall. Sure, there's also a troll who orchestrated the whole thing and planned ahead to wear a wire during the date to record it, but at least this time it would be in real life. The video of this incident is scant, and Emily's face is obscured. However, we have the audio of the entire thing.
Oh, it actually happened.
The whole thing lasted for a little over an hour, and that though the date was Chris's, it got completely hijacked by Bob, who began talking to Emily way more than Chris did. The date ends when a man dressed up in a pickle costume arrives at their table and invites Emily to go to the Watchmen movie, which greatly disturbs and upsets Chris, while Bob is mostly just confused about the situation. After the date, he calls her up, but not before he receives hookers at his door, ordered by Clyde Cash. Later on in March, Chris uploads himself giving a tour of his house, as well as a video of him singing a song wherein he declares his love for farting. Chris also mentions Megan, but only asks for trolls to stop bothering her. After the end of the Julie arc, Chris moves towards another potential sweetheart by the name of Ivy. He also pledges to leave YouTube forever, though just a week later he returns, announcing his new website. Shortly after this, he makes another video of Ivy, which is paired with yet another video, this time of him kissing Kimmy, the sex doll, with an image of Ivy taped to her face. The first half of April is more or less calm, with Chris uploading a few funny videos such as this one where he pretends to be some kind of Irish Easter bunny. By the 16th, the mystery incident 3 videos
it's Billy
Hatcher
Hatcher
by pretending to be girls. One where he's drinking his own semen mixed with Fanta. One where he's
there it
his own
is.
naked ass.
There that
and
is.
lastly, one where he's dancing around naked in his filthy shower stall. While absolutely depressing, Chris takes these in stride as just a day later, he uploads another video kissing Ivy's face on Kimmy. It's also in the month of April that the long-forgotten Christian and the Hedgehog Boys drop a comeback album. Other than that, we have a potential marriage proposal for Ivy, and a couple of other leaked videos of Chris displaying his raw strength to attract possible mates.
I have the power!
You will now be watching the strongman lifting a very heavy office chair. Note, the chair weighs a grand number of pounds.
What?
Ta-da! Now we will be seeing the strongman lifting the same chair with a very heavy basket full of junk in the chair.
I watched you a man from Nantucket!
As well as a video of him sprinting naked in his room, which I can't show you, but you can imagine how graceful it is. One of this month's highlights is a comic Chris drew for Ivy of himself about to begin intercourse with his giant ding-dong. Of course, these instances of trolling are much more lighthearted than what preceded them. When informed that a little girl called, bear with me here, their words not mine, Ching Chong stumbled across the videos leaked of him doing these egregious things, Chris felt compelled to explain himself, and so he did. In the couple of videos he posted,
No,
he says
Zach,
that things he did
no.
were normal
We're
and
not
good,
going to
and
do
Ivy,
that.
the person whom he admits was the reason at least one of the videos was made, is definitely a real girl and not a troll, and that they soon will meet up in real life and have sex, and it will be awesome. One of the videos got linked to the website Fark, where it got over 200,000 views. This landed him in the public eye of mainstream media. A few of his videos were being featured on a Boston radio station, while his admission to drinking his own semen was being discussed on an LA radio station.
What are you
Chris Han's
laughing
fame had
at,
gone
Pat?
nationwide,
What
but
are
he
you
had no
laughing at?
idea. As while this was happening, he was too busy drawing a comic of himself marrying Ivy, as well as a few of himself, as Sonic, having explicit sex with a Sonic furry version of Ivy. He also attempts to put his autobiographical article on Wikipedia, but it gets taken down and he subsequently protests. By the 15th, his relationship with Ivy quietly ends as he takes down all the videos mentioning her, and Clyde announces that they broke up. Later on, Clyde goes into detail about what caused the breakup. It was revealed during this time that Chris had gone to the police because of Josh. And
It was the
Rocky. As
medallion.
previously
That's
stated,
what
Chris kept
caused
mentioning
it.
going to the
It had
police,
to be.
but I
It's
didn't think he'd
cursed.
actually do so, as that would entail explaining things to his parents. Also, Bob and Barb have always been extremely afraid of the authorities. Bob hid the vast majority of troll material from Barb. The breaking point for Bob and Barb had been Josh. He had sold Chris a PSP with a non-existent feature for a higher price than a normal PSP. While Josh was scamming Chris,
I wonder
Chris
what the
scammed Josh
feature was
back by
supposed to
giving him a
be.
bad check. Bob and Barb ended up agreeing to go to the police with Rocky to catch Josh and only Josh. They agreed only to discuss matters regarding Josh, as they were handling Clyde and the other trolls on their own terms. Taking advantage of the situation, Rocky blindsided Bob and Barb at the station by monopolizing and domineering the police's help. She pushed for the authorities to investigate all the trolls, and Ivy as well. Despite his parents' protests, Rocky went against their wishes and ignored their harbored anxiety. Needless to say, I was pretty pissed. While Bob and Barb and Josh continued their feud over a PSP, I broke up with Chris over his betrayal. Fun fact, this Josh character happens to be one of Chris's oldest acquaintances, having attended the same same speech therapy classes as him during their childhood. While this was going
Oh,
on,
no.
Facebook.com, Chris' site at the time got hacked, and
No.
messages attacking Chris began being
The
displayed on it.
betrayal.
4 days later, the site went down, and the revelation that Ivy2 was a troll prompted Chris to upload a video to his YouTube channel saying that from now on, he would only be taking real-life encounters with women into consideration when it came to finding a sweetheart. Too little, too late. A few days later, his drinking confession finds its way to the, at the time, infamous Opie and Anthony show, which was nationally syndicated and one of the largest comedy shows in the U.S. It's unsure if
I
Chris ever
forgot
found out
about
that this
Opie and
happened, but if he
Anthony.
did,
I've
it certainly
heard
contributed
about
to the
them
illusions
lately.
of grandeur he was already harboring. At the tail end of May, Chris tries to engage in his love quest on Craigslist, but his ad gets taken down for racism. In June, his YouTube account gets hacked, and the hackers re-upload the video where he admits to being gay, which he was coerced in the first place into making by Clyde. When Chris gets a hold of his account, he immediately deletes it and favorites multiple Britney Spears videos to prove how straight he is. Later on in the month, he uploads a song called Don't Trust Any Homos Over There, a spoof of a similarly named song from the Boondocks.
Hello, my
Yep,
name is Uncle Ruckus. No relation.
Don't
I'm
trust
gonna
those
sing you a song I
homos
just
over
made up. It's
there.
called Don't Trust Any Homos Over There. Sing along if you know the words. Da, 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 da. Don't trust any homos over there, leaving their homo stank in the air. Them sappy, flappy, dumb homos with their finger on the trigger. Don't trust any homos over there.
Once again, in his attempt to attack gay people,
I like how
he
there's
throws
just
some
a piece
racism
of
into good
paper
measure.
over it.
Also, he
It
appears
says
not to
the
know how to
video
upload
is
video not
audio
recorded from his
only.
camera, and is manually holding up a sign that says this video is audio only. Besides this, the month is pretty scarce of any salacious occurrences, other than Chris drinking his first ever alcoholic beverage, and a pretty strong one at that. Meanwhile, possibly one of, if
It's
not
an
the most
LIT.
trolls
It's
makes
an
his debut in the latter
LIT.
half of June. C-Chan
probably is an
CWC,
LIT.
better known as Liquid Chris. Despite sharing essentially no
Liquid
similarity with Chris
Chris.
Chan besides his last name, Liquid Chris decided to make the account to claim that he was the real CWC. In early July, he uploaded a video formally denouncing the original Chris Chan, whom we'll be calling Solid Chris whenever both him and Liquid are being discussed simultaneously. Initially, Solid Chris chose to ignore this, either out of laziness or because Rocky, his advisor from church, helped him avoid needless conflicts online. At this time, Larry Bundy Jr., or Guru Larry as his channel is called, conducted an interview with Chris and began uploading selected
I love
excerpts online.
Larry.
In this interview, Chris is decidedly uncooperative and not his usual energetic self, though it's unknown if this was accidental or done intentionally by Chris to appear as more of an unfazed
Hello,
diva as used to being
you.
interviewed. Rocky's efforts, however effective they may have been at other moments, came up short on the 17th of July, when Chris uploaded multiple videos attacking random trolls, calling them the R word, which Chris previously denounced prior to this, and also telling them to keep themselves safe. The thing is, the people that Chris was targeting in these messages had already closed their accounts by the time the videos went up.
OxyClean Fanatic
Because of the
2264.
not exactly terms of service friendly rhetoric Chris was espousing,
Billy
his
Mays
channel was
here.
shortly terminated thereafter. A day later, he makes a new channel called IBA Chandler, and he makes a post titled A Near Public Apology, where he tries to get forgiveness for his past actions of attacking those users. The real motivation for doing this was because his PSN kept being hacked, and he was trying to appear contrite to get it back. However, the trolls noticed that Chris wasn't wearing a Sonichu medallion in the video, which in Christianism meant that he wasn't being sincere. After more videos of Chris drinking came out, a picture of Chris with a lady surfaces on the V board of 4chan. Though little is known of her or the precise
That
context of
smile
this image.
gets me
Along with
every
this shift in
time.
demeanor, the Chris Chan classic Rollin' and Trollin' comes out, which is widely seen as one of the more positive moments in this story.
Alright, we're coming to you live from Quickfield today. We're over at the Quickfield Pavilion. The Hedgehog Boys and Master Christian Mayor, they
Wait, is he
performed Friday
Australian
night,
or
and,
British?
It draws a crowd. It's very good, you know.
In it, Chris displays
he's
some
Chris
self-awareness
Chan.
about the fact that he's an online phenomenon for being who he is, and plays into the theory that he had been a troll all along. Though it's evident he's just pretending, Chris tries his hardest to sound like a normal guy in his 20s, with a regular voice instead of his usual
Fucking
high-pitched
Smash
register
Mouth over
and no
here.
Sonichu medallion on. Even if he was coached into doing
No,
this, which he
no,
most
don't
likely
you
was,
dare
this doesn't
sully
really
their
seem like an
name,
idea
bro.
he come up with
Don't
himself.
do
The
it.
video shows that Chris is well aware he's an unusual guy, as he can approximate how an actual normal person behaves better than you'd expect. For a myriad of reasons, many people see this video as the canon ending to Chris's story. Little did he know that this little ruse of his was playing right into Liquid Chris's campaign. A couple of days after Rollin' and Trollin', Chris uploaded another video dispelling it because a troll threatened to cut off his disability checks due to his claims to have a job and his LARP as a normal man. After Liquid Chris supposedly
so he
sold
does
some
have
Sonichu
disability.
merchandise at an anime convention, Solid Chris decides enough is enough and makes a video addressing his counterpart. In it, he derives the fact that Sonichu merch being sold at the convention was made out of paper, when he, the true and honest Chris Chan, only ever makes medallions out of clay. As the embers of the conflict against Liquid Chris slowly grew into a raging fire, Solid's battle to reclaim his PSN account from hackers raged on, and he kept being coerced into making humiliating videos. One of these videos, which leaked to the V-board, contains Chris humping his PS3 while declaring Sony and PlayStation the winners of the console wars against Xbox and Microsoft. Approaching the end of July, Solid Chris posted a video of himself
I mean,
playing
he's
More
not
Than a
wrong.
Feeling in Guitar Hero, which then prompted
I don't know,
Liquid
I
Chris
was a
to reply with
360
footage of
guy.
himself playing the same song, but on an acoustic guitar. People were taking Liquid Chris's side en masse to rile up Solid Chris, even making Version versus Chad type meme images mocking the real Chris and acting as if Liquid Chris was the original one and the creator
By
of
the
Sonichu.
way,
This
it's
culminated
getting
in
close
Solid Chris
to
shaving
time
his
for
goatee
being
in the
fair
aptly titled
warning.
video.
I
It
still
took me
got a
weeks to
bit,
perfect
but-
that goatee, but it will grow.
All right, so we got the other timestamps. Of course, there's not. We will fast forward though.
Whatever we gotta do. Whatever we gotta do.
This is a good place to start, I think.
We could even two-part it. I don't care.
We might have to.
I'm just letting you know it's about that time for me. We're getting close. I'm not there, but we're close.
I got you.
Aggravated Solid to no end, as he would publish yet another diatribe screaming his personal information at the top of his lungs to prove he was the real him. This is also the source of the Curse Yehameha video played earlier, but we'll play it again right here just for good measure.
Curse Yehameha!
It appears that Chris takes the Curse Yehameha much more seriously than everyone else did, as soon after delivering it, he becomes remorseful and fears that it was too great a punishment for Liquid, and decides to issue a retraction and forgive Chris for his
Why
past
didn't
misdeeds.
use a
We stand
spirit
merciful
bomb?
king. As Clyde
Goddamn.
previously mentioned, Bob and
He
Barb
would need
purposely
help for
decided to
that.
not involve anyone else in the troll situation, claiming that they were dealing with it on their own terms. Partly, this was because they didn't want anyone else finding out how inept and negligent they were in regards to their son's obvious special needs, but to an extent, it's also because they didn't know how bad it was, most likely due to Chris downplaying or straight up not telling them about it. The Chandler family strategy, or lack thereof when it came to handling trolls, was compelled to change after Bob
That's
found out Chris had
bullshit.
uploaded 2 tours of their house, which revealed where they lived. In emails, Chris said, "Because of my months-old mistake," referring to the house tour, "my mother took away my car keys, my driver's license, trapping me in the house that love built. But years later, chaos ensued." Sob. Mom and Dad are both very angry with me.
I'm
I'll
the
call my
victim
detective tomorrow.
again.
I don't know. You have in with the trolls. Please see if you can talk to them into helping me remove that footage off the internet. I know they'll be too damn stubborn, stupid, and cocky to help, but any port in a hurricane, feeling dizzy, I gotta get back to searching on YouTube for similar videos and flagging them.
Feeling
Rally the
dizzy.
good, loyal troops. Yet another major reason to take down that ED page, because they probably have all that shit on there as well. And all it took was one troll calling my house and telling my father about seeing a portion of his wall of records in pictures. The same day, Chris takes his concern to YouTube in quite the peaceful fashion.
Not even deserve a captain's log introduction. Hey guys, this is dead serious. The inside and outside tour I did a few months ago of my house. Everyone hearing it?
It's fucking Ricky Berwick, dude.
They're blaming me.
Except
It's my
Ricky
fault.
Berwick's
My internet. It's my
acting.
fault.
He's
I want
serious.
everything about my house off the internet. I'll send in detectives. I'll send in police. I'll send in everything in my power. So yeah, please get everything off of the internet now, 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 now.
No.
You might have noticed the strange
I'm sure it
That's
worked.
because there is a full uncut version of it, which was leaked by Vivian Gee just a few days later after the upload. In this extended
Oh
version,
my
Bob walks in and begins
God.
explaining to Chris that the reason he's pissed off at him for exposing the house isn't just that it violates their privacy, but due to how filthy and unkempt their living conditions were due to the fact they were hoarders, the health department of Greene County could condemn the house to be demolished and they'd be evicted.
Yeah,
and
this
left
is the part I
homeless.
wanted to
Because
go
of
at,
his
too.
leak, along with their previous deeds, Chris was furious at Vivian, expressing his wish that she suffers a heart attack and subsequently blocking her. Concomitantly, Chris reveals in emails that
What
he
a nice
recently began
guy.
applying for retail jobs like Target and Walmart, probably
He's
in
the
order to suit his
victim,
parents'
bro.
qualms
What do you
about how much
mean?
time he spent on the internet. However, he's stressed out about potentially losing his disability checks. When he looked for a job, Chris discovered he really enjoyed wearing sports bras, describing it as a guilty pleasure. At the
Not
same time, he'd
again.
been using comment sections to single that he was suffering from something like split personality disorder, and that his alter was a homosexual, asking to come out of the closet. For quite some time now, he had been talking to one of his gal pals about how he thought he had DID, which is a bad omen that his mental health started deteriorating again. In the middle of September, Chris finally registered Sonashoe as his copyright property after around a decade of working on the project. He also puts up 2 of his Guitar Hero guitars for sale on eBay, which is a sign that he was either having to clear out his room or that he needed some money for whatever reason. Near the end of September, another of Chris's
luck getting
cool
those
drawings
bought.
was leaked, this
It
one
looks
from having
like the
foursome,
fucking
which included a black
spork on
girl,
Toy
signifying that he's
Toy
overcoming his
Story 4.
Not Forky. Is that what his
It's
name
Forky,
is?
bro.
Forky?
It's fucking whoever it is, voiced by fucking Edward Norton. I don't know. I couldn't make it 20 minutes into that movie before I rage quit.
I never
fucking
watched.
stopped.
I never watched Toy Story 3 or 4. And fun fact, 5 just came out.
3 was really good. All right, I will give it to 3 hands down. That shit was fucking based. Like, you thought Toy Story 2 was a field trip, bro. 3 hits you hard in the balls. 4 was garbage, though. Like I said, I couldn't even
What
make
I've
it
heard.
20 minutes into it. And then I guess with Toy Story 5, they don't do like Buzz Lightyear and fucking Woody and shit. It's all about
Oh,
Jesse.
Jesse,
So I
apparently,
don't
yeah.
know. I don't know. But either way, as long as it's better than 4, I don't care.
So this is fast forwarding into the Christine era.
Oh, no.
And even if he got both of those things hilariously wrong, there's just no topping the fact that he chose to pierce his perineum. The words perineum and
Oh,
piercing
cool.
shouldn't
That's a
even be
great place to
used.
start.
Here we
Great
are.
place to
Once
start.
again, Chris gets roped into dating an online troll. This time it was an open relationship that included Chris, Catherine, and another guy, Colin. Because of his plethora of bad past experiences with purely online dating, there was a lot more riding on going on an actual real-life date, and eventually it did take place. Catherine's retelling of how it went down follows. Chris wanted to spend an entire day together, go bra shopping at Target with him, wanted me to spend the night and watch movies with him, even asked me what I like for breakfast so he could buy it. it would have been kind of nice behavior if it weren't the first time he was going to meet this woman. I told him a few times that I wasn't going to spend the night with him, but he persisted in believing I would. He was 2 booths down, I bit the bullet and went over. He wanted me to use some stupid pickup line. What's a pretty girl like you doing in a place like this? But I just asked if he was Christian. He all but leaped up and squawked, "Catherine, you're here!" Then he side-hugged me before I could employ evasive tactics, and I led him to our table. The look on the waitress's face was priceless. She may need some serious therapy after this. Chris was wearing a red t-shirt and gray undershirt, his kilt, really some old lady-style plaid skirt to the calf, with turquoise tights and grotty sneakers.
Oh,
I hoped he would wear
wonderful.
high heels since he said he likes wearing them. His hair looked like straw, probably from the bleach he used to use, and he had a silver hairband and green earrings. He had on blue eyeshadow and purple eyeliner and red lipstick that appeared to have been applied by someone with advanced Parkinson's. He smelled very strongly, and what we later found out was that Britney Spears perfume. He seemed genuinely amazed I was even there. He kept trying to hold my hand, so I negotiated lunch like a T-Rex with stumpy little arms. Then he tried footsie under the table, and he stared at my tits a lot. In retrospect, I should have called him out on it. Barb's family apparently also think Barb is a useless drunken whore too.
Man, I'd have just said nice tits,
When Barb was
but
young, she aggressively went after her sister's
he's-
husband or fiance. When he
he's
offered to show
subtle.
us his house, we took him up on it. We followed him even though Al knew where we were going. Chris seriously drives like my demented old grandma who doesn't have a license anymore because she kept going the wrong way up one-way streets. The place is bad. Much smaller than I thought it would be too. It's overgrown and there's broken glass everywhere. Everywhere you look there's stuff. All garbage. Bob's old workshop is full of rubbish. His greenhouse is doing slightly better but not much. There's an early 90s Cadillac in the yard covered in plant growth that hasn't been moved since the fire. They want to sell it and expect $2,000 to $5,000 for it. We go to the rental. It is literally stacked to the ceiling with stuff in places, no exaggeration. Chris occupies both upstairs rooms. One is full of Lego, including melted warp fire damage Lego, a lot of it, and the other has the same grotty bedding from the old house. The Chandlers' pets pee and poop in the house on newspaper because they're too lazy to take them for walks. The dogs are
Aw.
untrained, hate strangers, and are at least 20 pounds overweight. Their bellies all but drag on the floor. One nearly bit me when I offered to let it smell me. When we made our escape, Chris said, "You asked what a girl like me was doing in a place like this," which I didn't. "Well, I'm waiting for the sweetest, most honest woman in my life," and put his arm around me to kiss me, so I sneezed again to get him to back off. I waved at him when we got in the car, and he still
Ugh.
thinks I blew him a kiss. It's been over a decade now, and Chris is still as absurdly inept at respecting people's boundaries.
Look at
It's good to know
that.
some things don't
Look at that
change. Or maybe
beautiful
bad.
woman.
Probably bad. After this, Chris goes to a gay club looking like a creature out of Goosebumps, and then he attempts to donate sperm, but gets rejected. Truly, nobody wants that comeuppance. Another unexplainable surge of aggression would flare up in protest of Sonic's arms and the Sonic Boom game being blue instead of classic beige color. No, it's not a joke. That actually pissed him off and led him to create entire groups to protest the change. His obsession with stopping the game from being sold around him got so bad that, after he had already been banned from every game store in the area due to his protests, he decided that on the day after Christmas, he'd once more go into GameStop and vandalize Sonic Boom copies. A Tumblr user who happened to be present and know of Christian eventually made a post detailing the occurrence. I was in GameStop looking at the 3DS rack when I heard a racket from my left. I looked up and saw Chris surrounded by 3 to 4 employees in a corner. I recognized Chris's voice before their appearance. A woman was telling Chris that they'd been banned from the store and needed to leave, to which Chris responded with something like, "Oh, come on. Can't we let bygones be bygones?" The employees ignored him and continued to tell him to leave and threatened to call
No,
security.
not with
Eventually,
you.
they
We
dispersed to do so,
cannot.
which is about when I began filming. A woman buying a game at the counter asked the employee she had been interacting with what had just happened, and the employee replied that Chris was some guy that came in from time to time to mess with the Sonic Boom games because he was upset that Sonic's arms had changed color or something to that effect. Sadly, I did not check to see what happened to the Sonic Boom and only stayed for another 5 minutes or so before leaving. In the brief but very telling video that we have of the occurrence, we can see Chris in what can only be described as an incomprehensible getup, imperatively telling people not to call anyone, presumably because of his terrible fear of being pinned down and handcuffed. As he speed walks out of the GameStop, it's visible that he sprayed something on one of the employees' faces. Later on, it was revealed that he had maced this man for simply standing in his way. Unbeknownst to the bystanders, Chris was at the mall with his mother, but he got in such a state of nerves that in his hurry to leave, he left his elderly mother alone at the food court and drove away. We know this because when the police arrived, she was interviewed, and soon after Chris was located, he was arrested and
Not
charged
even
with,
the
and I
worst
quote,
thing
dangerous
that he's
gas
done to her.
unlawful release, which is
I know.
quite fitting. A few
I
days
know.
after the arrest, Chris was released on a $2,500 bail, and in October of the
Who's
next
paying
year,
this
almost a
fucker's
whole 10
bail?
months after the macing, Chris managed to plead his Class 6 felony down to
mom.
a misdemeanor level assault and battery, and was
Stop
served with
it.
180
Get
days
some
of
help.
probation and a $541 fine. This is a relatively light sentence if you consider the fact that while he was attending the court hearings during the time it took for the case to close, he never showed remorse for his actions. In a Facebook post he made
course
immediately
not.
after being released, he said, "To preface what has happened recently, I simply remind everyone that Sonic the Hedgehog's arms are not freaking blue. If hashtag
Well,
Sega
I'm
had
glad
never
you're
changed
right,
them
that
or
gives you
reversed
the
them between
right
February and
to
November of
mace
this year
people
in the
in
new
the
Sonic Boom
Facebook
video
group.
games and
Obviously.
cartoon series
Right.
on Cartoon Network,
The poor
as well as the toys
GameStop
and whatever else, I
employees.
would never have had to protest and rebel
No,
the way I have.
those
I peeked into
customers,
GameStop
dude.
and I spotted a new Skylander figure, Blastermind. I was set to buy it, and I was going to consider checking out of their Wii U pre-owned software selection in their 3-for-2 deal. Innocent, I was not looking for trouble. But then this male loomed out in front of me, frightened the crap out of me, and he said in a booming voice that only scared me worse, "You are banned from here, you need to leave now." But still determined to continue my shopping, I veered into the
Why?
Wii U direction.
Why not
when his
just
female
leave?
accomplice startled me and boomed in as well. Still feeling frightened and mentally overloaded, I made a grab for my pepper spray to use in defense. I offered a few
I
peaceful
like how
solutions,
he
but she
didn't
ended up sending him to
capitalize
security.
female,
So I
but
shouted,
male.
"Fine, I'm
Male.
leaving."
Just super
On
wrong.
my way out, I
It's
told
a
the male to not
dude.
get anyone, and we both stopped near simultaneous. I still
Again,
felt my own worst
capitalized
aware with
male.
fear,
Yep,
startled
once
paranoia,
again.
and I did not want him following me and causing bring more trouble upon me. And then in my defense and not to make my escape, I spritzed a minuscule amount of pepper spray downward, not in his face.
I saw you do it.
Until much later that the spritz did a lot worse than I had imagined it would, as well as
That
learning
shit
that they were
fucking
the
hurts,
so-called
man.
manager and ass manager of that particular store. I had no idea of the contents of the pepper spray or that it was illegal for use in certain situations
don't
in the state
fucking
of
buy
Virginia
it.
at all. And I had tried the stuff on myself days before in the upstairs bathroom. A 2-second spray onto my left wrist, some of it got into the bathtub wall as well. Like sampling a perfume or deodorant. It took me out damn well. I had to open the windows, turn on the bathroom fan, and aim the
Pepper
box
spray
fan in the
works
bathroom to
different
air
on
the
your
place
arm
out,
than it
and I
does
wiped
your
the wall off
face,
as
you
well.
fucking
And of course I washed
mongoloid.
my hands. It took 15 to 30 minutes to make it bearable in there again. In the end, I was the victim. I did not cause the original provoking.
He
The
says it out
assistant
loud
manager
now.
made the first attack
He hasn't
onto
even
me
tried
and
to
provoked
fucking-
my defensive response. I was minding my own business, not looking for trouble. And then he startled me, similar to a potential rapist in a dark alley in a big city.
You are a
Any of
potential
would have done the same
rapist
as
in
I
a
have.
dark
defense
alley,
and
you
escape.
fucking
And we can
creep.
sue Sega for changing Sonic's arm color and ultimately this male getting pepper sprayed. Think about it seriously.
Sue them,
If this
yeah,
wasn't
it's
bad
your
enough, just a few
intellectual
days after the
property.
GameStop
All
debacle,
right,
he was up
you
at Walmart
stupid
causing a
fuck.
ruckus and threatening to pepper spray the employees when they told him he was trespassing. Over his correspondence with a Kiwi Farms user about the incident, he referred to himself as Badass, while explaining that he didn't know for sure the people at Walmart with Walmart name tags were
More
Walmart
like fat
employees.
ass.
The cherry on top is that he considers anyone using a threatening tone with him is a self-defense situation that warrants the pepper spray. It was now 2015. In his downtime, Chris worked on Sonichu for the first time in 5 years, and
All right,
he
let's
says his voice surrounded by a
close this
gaggle
out.
of expensive toys. He's totally
Yeah, I'm
stressed.
about ready.
Was met by some madman with a
We have to get to the end.
portal to Quickville, the land where Sonic. Wrong with this world. A peck on the cheek from a celebrity that one likes, positively mind you, is not offensive to me. Finally, the
Oh, here we
Neptunian trolls
go.
are brought.
Brother, this is actually Sonichu. Yeah, the one and only prime of the Sonichu species from our sister dimension that's literally right next door to you. Hey, you've been hanging out next to Iron Man.
You could say Chris Chan's singularity was fast approaching. In his DMs with one of the enablers of the Neptunia delusions, he says, "This is seriously
Are you sure
strictly
that's not Billy
confidential. I
Hatcher?
genuinely do not want this to get out in public.
Not
ears and
entirely
radar, especially
sure.
anywhere on the freaking Kiwi Farms. I have been more positive lately. Masturbation has become easier and more fun with me in recent months.
Great!
For more recent
Everybody wants to know
significant
about
detail, I have a
that.
sex partner of our 1218 half of our universe. She's
I
been
mean,
very
I jerk off
satisfactory.
like 12
Her identity
times a day.
is
I
living
don't
a
know
strict
what you
secret,
want
and
from
this is a
me.
mutual, genuine affection. I'm finally getting the long overdue experience.
I don't
She's helping me
care. I
explore.
don't wanna know
Since we
about this
started ship
person.
progress with the first intercourse last Sunday, I've been feeling a lot
Just
less
saying,
physical
I just
stress
sit
and
there,
improved
lay
quality of
back,
life.
and just
We're mainly still
ravish
exploring the options and
myself.
teaching each other up to where we find what works best.
That
She's physically
seems
older than I, considerably
counterproductive.
fragile, but she has great inner strength and soul power.
It's kinda
This was odd.
reproductive.
Chris was known to lie, but seldom did he ever lie about actually having sex with somebody, which meant that he was probably telling the truth here. But who could he have been talking about? Well, on the 28th of July, he had a call with another one of his online trolls, a girl called Isabella Janke, and in this call, he
here
confided
we
his
go.
Here we
sexuality
go,
to me,
everybody.
told
This is
everyone
what we've all been waiting for.
Labels it all, but he obviously failed. But the incest fanfics have come true, and approached her with care and caution. And it was a time approach, so I just gave her comfort and talked with her, and we just branched out slow and steady, and then I encouraged her positively, let her make the first move. She wanted to do it, and
Oh, she did? Really? She made the first move?
yeah.
It's worth noting I have a separate dedicated video about Isabella Janke, which was released as of the time all this went down, which is pretty easy to find and goes in more depth about her. As soon as this call was made public, Null became involved and started questioning Chris about it, to which he replied that the sex was consensual with Barbara. The air had shifted, and Null became noticeably more revolted.
I
while
wasn't
talking to
gonna let
Chris,
him,
and
Zach.
he shut down
We
the
weren't
GoFundMe
leaving
page
tonight
he'd set up
without
for him.
this.
The police were informed, and Chris was served with an emergency protective order until the 5th of August, and was forbidden from communicating with his mother while she was at the hospital for a senior care inspection. Furthermore, Null decided to follow up on another lead regarding Chris and Barb's relationship, saying, "Chris gave me access to his emails years ago to help out a while back during the Joshua Y situation. I've had access since. Chris is aware I have access to his emails, and after changing his passwords recently, gave me access to them again. I've helped him deal with trolls signing him up for spam and newsletters and other things like that. I was going to send Chris's GoFundMe money, but after talking it over and sleeping on it, I've canceled the payment and I've asked GoFundMe to do a total refund. I told Chris last night to spend one night sleeping in his vehicle, and that this morning I'll help him figure out a way to have a roof over his head until August 5th.
Maybe if
I
it's
suggested
falling
that
off
he
a
take some
bridge
time
would be
under the
more
stars to
appropriate,
reflect on the
but
situation.
better than
Every so often, Chris
it
gets
could
an
have
email
been.
alert that Barbara sent him money. I've always
Well,
been
if
under
you
the
fall
impression
off
that
a
Barb
bridge,
tightly
that's
manages his
still a roof
finances and
over
sends
your
him
head.
payments. However, to my surprise, at 12:38 this morning, so less than 8 hours ago, Barb sent Chris $750. I asked Chris about this. The attached images show him questioning Chris about it, who replied that Barb hadn't sent him any money at all, which was a blatant lie, which he justified by saying that it was an emergency, and that he planned on sending her the money back. Null adds that this could classify as a violation of the protective order since he's prohibited from stealing from Barb, and he notified the police. At about 6 p.m. on the 1st of August, the police would arrive and arrest Chris while he rambles about
Finally.
Sonichu and the Merge, all filmed by Killstream host host, Ethan Ralph. Going to jail and being
Fucking
separated from his
Ethan
network
Ralph.
of supporters and enablers certainly had no beneficial effects on Chris's state of mind, as he actually became more insane during lockup. In a letter of his he sent from jail, he says, "Firstly and vitally, it should be made obvious and clear that aside from Andy Warhol, my life events at present and so far can directly be compared to that which have been chronicled of none other than Jesus Christ of Nazareth himself in any holy Bible." Sounds reasonable. In a later letter, he justifies what he did to Barb, essentially claiming he did it for her benefit. He may or may not have heard of Christine, our Lord, having foreknown of an eventual circumstance upon Barbara.
Don't you
Had our
fucking
Lord not
do
cleansed her
that.
aura and regrets, she would have ended up separated from our Lord by such a circumstance as a vehicular accident in August 2021, followed by a most paradoxical premature death from emotional depression and trauma. Wednesday, November 24th, 2021, Barbara was in the van and got hit by a tractor-trailer truck. The van is totaled, but Barbara survived and continues to live with positive emotions and greater divine protection by the power and aura of our Lord from that soul bonding. Barbara has 2 broken ribs and a bump on the head. Chris continues to send many more letters and even drawings from his cell, all the while continuing to ask for over $100,000 to pay off the mortgage of their house. Though now he refers to the donations as tithe and the house as the Sonichu Temple. For a period of about 2 years,
The
their
Sonichu
peace has
Temple.
got settled behind bars.
Tithe?
Chris wishfully believed that perhaps this time the people around Chris would realize that he was simply unfit for living in society. For just a hopeful second, the possibility
Unfit
of
for
the
living,
Sonichu
maybe.
Empire meeting its demise in a jail cell glimmered in the horizon. But in Christery, no hope is left unshattered. I've been Turkey Tom. Thanks for watching.
Oh,
And until next
okay.
time, probably go outside after watching this video because this one was way too long. Leave me alone.
So there we have it.
I'm gonna have to go touch grass now. Thanks for making me do that, you fucking prick.
I might jump out this window and touch grass for eternity.
Just start with your face.
Of course.
You deserve it.
You deserve it. Alrighty, everybody.
Face first into touching grass.
That was our Friday episode of this week.
That was painful. God, I hope we do something better next week. This was fucking downright just demoralizing. Oh my god.
I'll go out of my way to look for something a little less horrifying next week.
Please. 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 Oh my god. I knew as soon as you said you were set on Chris Chan, I was like, oh.
It's never good.
No.
It's never good when it comes to Chris Chan.
It was especially bad, brother. It was especially bad.
Thank you to everyone who's been here.
I was here for it, though. I was here for it.
We were all here. We all witnessed this atrocity. It sure was something.
And JB is bitching about having to bleach their ears. I have to do that shit to my eyeballs. All right, homie.
Ears, eyes,
perineum.
brain,
Perineum.
perineum. You gotta bleach your perineum.
Perineum. Perineum.
Yeah, the perineum.
Also, what up, Daniel? I'm sorry, you fucking just caught the tail end. Go back and rewatch it, bro.
Or
it's
don't.
worth it.
It might not be.
Okay, I'm lying. It's not worth it. It's entertaining, though.
We'll appreciate the view. All right, Sean, before we get out of here, you have anything you want to say to the people?
Yeah, lick my balls, Chad. You're a fucking asshole for this one.
Don't tempt me. I'll make it worse next time. Nah, it's not possible.
He said $20 is $20. Let's fucking go.
But anyway,
other
guys.
than that, now you all have a good one. I appreciate everybody tuning in, man.
Everybody have a... Yeah, you missed it, Daniel. Sorry, buddy. Appreciate it. Go back and watch. But with that, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful night, and I'll let the theme songs play us out. Good night.
Toodaloo, neighborinos. Till next time.
Till next time.
Step right up, take a seat. Bad advice, baby. Chad and Sean, come and see. We talk that niche, the weird, the deep, the forum lore, the jokes they keep.
Chad, I'm out of here too. I got food waiting for me.
Later, buddy.
Take it easy, brother.
We make it messy, we let it spin. Bad advice, Chad and Sean tonight. Bad advice, turn the strings tonight. Bad advice, roll up, stay a while. Bad advice, laugh till you lose your mind.
Sean in the pit, spin that weird internet shit. They climb in the feed like a chain on the floor. Juggalos in the back wanting one more roar. Low cow laughs keep feeding the flame. Cocks and furries all get names. Turn it up, let it break. Every dumb take, every mistake. Bad advice, say it loud. Bad advice, spin it proud. Chad and Sean, run the show. Bad advice, here we go. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Screenshots flying, hot tea stains. Discord chaos in the brains. Niche culture kings with the live wire bite. Dragging the freaks into the night. Turn it up, let it break. Every dumb take, every mistake.